Hey, welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode one. Oh, fuck.
Oh my
163.
god, he's messing it all up.
It just went into autopilot. Well, it's
my
too late.
God.
It's water to the bridge. I already went through with the intro. I didn't even list off the names. I'm Graham. I'm here with Luke, Cody, and no Richie again. He's working still. He's working hard. And we have
the 2023 Runs Bypasses MVP Newbie of the Year.
What
Oh,
yeah.
Jordan Kroger.
God damn it, it's Kruger. He just told us. No.
What kind of a fucking intro are we
It
giving
was a
this
train
guy?
wreck, okay? Leave
Have
me
you
alone.
eaten yet? You need brain food. Somebody get
No,
this
I
man
have
some
not eaten,
popcorn.
and I'm very tired.
Oh, well, there's
I
the
have a beer,
problem.
though.
So what up, Jordan? How you doing, buddy?
What
Long
up,
time
good,
no
man?
see.
Those
Yeah,
drive
man.
shafts holding up?
Yeah. Hopefully, so we're at their quarter wall now. So if
That's
they
good.
break,
Yeah.
if they break, something else is going with it.
I'd prefer not to see you like fly backwards
Whoa,
down a hill.
We're skipping
That-
ahead too far.
No.
Oh,
That
no.
This is we're building up to it, and then we'll come back and actually get
It's like a
into it.
teaser.
Yeah.
It was,
Context.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
That shit was gnarly. To be fair,
It
like
could
all-
have
that shit
been
was
way
scary,
worse than it
though.
was.
yeah.
So,
Um,
yeah. So I mean, so this was at Good Evening Ranch on what's it? Keyhole? That's what that's called.
keyhole.
Yeah, we'll
keyhole.
get to that. How'd you get into this before we even get into what you've done? Because, like, you know,
We heard some things. Anybody listen
Yeah.
to 162?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I've been in off road pretty much my whole life. So I guess going like way back, my dad used to be like a tech on a trophy truck team.
Oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. So yeah, I'm from Southern California. So that industry's big out there. Like, I didn't really grow up around rock crawlers or like I didn't really see a solid axle truck until I moved out here. But yeah, so I was ripping around in his Toyota out in Glamis when I was a little kid, and just kind of been around it. And then when I turned 16, I bought a Toyota Tacoma, like a 5-lug 1996 Toyota Tacoma. Total piece of shit, like the worst Tacoma you could possibly buy, like 2-wheel drive. Like it wasn't even the pre-runner, so like it didn't even have like the 4-wheel drive suspension. It was just like, just like kind of like a gardening truck. And yeah, completely just demolished that thing. Like cut the front control arms, like lengthen them 3 inches, which is like a long travel thing to do to get more suspension travel. Yeah, and then just kind of ruined that thing for 2 or 3 years. So I guess more context for the backstory. I guess I moved to the South when I was like 12. Spent some time in Georgia, and then when I did get my license, I was living in Aiken, South Carolina, and my dad was still back in California. So I found this truck out there, flew out there, and then we had it shipped back to South Carolina. And it was Aiken, South Carolina, which is like a super small town, not much to do there. But that thing was like, that was my entertainment. Like, that was like my sense of freedom and like finally get out of the house. And I kind of just developed like a friend group, and just like that's what we did on the weekends. We like, we would work on the truck all throughout the week, and then just go like mud bogging and go find trails and stuff. Yeah, and then I guess it's kind of been progressing from there ever since.
So then, how did you get caught up with the Runs Prime guys? Because I'm over here looking at this. Was it a Ranger? Is that what this thing was? Oh no, it was a Toyota. Oh shit!
I
just-
just said it was a
Instagram?
Toyota.
Yeah.
It-
No,
dude,
well,
it
I was
depends.
looking through.
I've had a few, man. It depends on how far back you go. So like, I don't know if any of my friends from back home are going to listen to this, but we used to call it Chuck the Truck. That was the OG Toyota. So that thing, I don't even know if I have any pictures of Instagram. Like that was probably before I even had an Instagram. I had that truck. But yeah, so I had that, and then I just like it got to the point where it was so beat to shit. I mean, this is like every single week we'd just be out like just mud bogging and just crashing it into stuff. Like I probably had a dent in every single, and it was my daily, like straight piped. It was only like a 4-cylinder, so it wasn't anything crazy, but just absolute like redneck mobile. And yeah, so sold that thing, and then I ended up buying like a 1992 Toyota pickup. Because the like 95 and older Toyota pickups are way stronger than like the Tacomas.
Mm-hmm.
For various reasons. Like the ball joints on them are way stronger. They don't have a steering rack, so like, you know, IFS stuff these days, like you have to run like pretty gnarly steering racks to get any longevity out of them. So I ended up going with an older, a 92 pickup. Put that thing on like some 33s. Put a spool in the back of it. Took it to Durhamtown. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of Durhamtown down in Georgia?
No.
So it's like kind of like a motocross like mecca. There's like 7,000 acres of like dirt bike trails, and they have like all like gnarly like motocross tracks and stuff. But they were trying for a while to kind of bring like the UTV off road crowd down there. So they cut like, I don't know, maybe like 15 miles of trails. So we went down there just to check it out because it was like an hour away. And dude, like the first trail, I just sink this thing nose first, like 10 feet into a mud hole and just hydrolock the motor. And it was like, and dude, this thing was like my pride and joy. It was like I had all my money into it. It was like the cleanest, like 1992 Toyota pickup extended cab with like these like, it was like 33 BFG all terrains, brand new, like nicest thing I've ever had in my life, dude. I just ruined it in like 10 minutes of off-roading.
No.
Yeah, man. Yep. So that I called up AAA on that one, got it home, wore the motor out of it. And that was the first time I did a motor swap. So that was really the first time I was like I don't know if you guys ever, like the first time you work on something and it's your daily and you just have this pit of like, dude, if I don't get this back on the road, like there's gonna be problems. Like I got to go to school tomorrow. I got to get to work. Like there's no going back. Like it's either you do it or you don't do it. You know,
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because like I like doing that motor swap. I remember like keeping myself up at night, just being like, dude, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this. I've never done this before. Like nobody's helping me. Like you know, this is all gonna go wrong. I'm gonna like lose all this money. And then I like did it and it was totally fine, and like it only cost me like $300. Then I ended up selling the truck for like twice what I bought it for. So there's like a bunch of times in my life where I kind of go back and I just remember that feeling, and I'm like, dude, you got this. Like, you know, like remember that time where you're, you know, having an anxiety attack about putting your truck back together in year 18, and it's like that same feeling. So it's like, I don't know, that was kind of a cool moment. But yeah, going back to I guess the vehicles I've had. Yeah, so that was one of them. So I kept that one pretty much stock, and then I sold that one and got a Subaru because I had just started college at that point. So I got like a little like $4,000 WRX with like 250,000 miles on it.
What could go wrong?
Dude, terrible idea.
It's a clean little bug eye, though. In all honesty,
dude,
it's a nice car.
I loved that car, man. That was such a cool little car. Like for $4,000, like all-wheel drive, turbo, stick shift, like itching little car for that much money. Yeah, so I had that for a while, and then the same thing happened. Like I got it tuned, and then about a week later, the thing blew up. Put a motor in it. Yeah, put a motor in it. And then I think so we're talking maybe like I was like 20 years old at this point. My dad calls me, and he's like, "Dude, I'm at this junkyard, and there's this like fully built like Toyota chassis just sitting here." I'm like, "Well, how much does the guy want for it?" He said $600. And I don't know if you're looking at my Instagram right now or whatever, but that's that one that's like it's all caged up.
The white one?
Yeah, exactly. It's all caged up. It's on 35s. It's got total chaos. So I flew out to California. We bought that thing, and then me and my dad built that thing up. And I think it was like 20 days from like a bare, you know, just like a rusty roll cage like cab frame. My dad's nickname's Junkyard because he's just kind of always like scrounging around in like people's junkyards and like go places, and like he just has all these like contacts of people that he just knows has like good stuff. So we ended up buying a donor truck for like $500 and just putting everything, from that. So I had this like bitch and pre-runner for like $2,000. Yeah. So then I sent that thing to South Carolina because I'm still living in South Carolina at this point. Am I rambling or is this all right?
No,
No,
you're good.
keep going. No.
We're all sitting here quietly listening because you're telling a good story.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. So I shipped that thing back out to South Carolina, but then just kind of got up to the same antics, like, so that thing was I think that was a 92 as well, actually. Pre-Tacoma pickup. And that thing had like a full Total Chaos front end on it. And it was my second 4-wheel drive truck, but first long travel 4-wheel drive truck. And that was a game changer. Like, because my first Toyota was a 2-wheel drive. Just because like out west, like everybody just runs 2-wheel drive long travel trucks. Like there's no reason to mess with like a front diff or CV axles. It's starting to get bigger now because I think of KOH.
Mhm.
But yeah, back when I was kind of doing it, it's like, nobody ran 2-wheel drive. But then like out in the South, like, everything's just mud and clay. So you have to have 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
So that was a bit of a game changer, but yeah, I had that truck for quite a while. So kind of how this ties into the Runs Prime dudes. So we're all, me, Mike, and Hayes, we're all BMX kids. Yeah, we all just like grew up riding BMX, and I didn't know them. They were up in Charlotte. But there's this huge BMX event down in Florida called Swamp Fest.
Whoa, wait a second. You went down to Swamp Fest?
Yeah, man, hell yeah,
dude. What the fuck? That's so
tried-
sick. I've been following Trey with this Swamp Fest stuff for so fucking long. So that's sick. I've always wanted to go, but it never lines up. That's sick.
Man. It's such a cool event. It's just like absolute anarchy for 3 days. Like,
yeah, it's so sick.
Yeah. So I actually drove that like fully caged up pre-runner down there. I think it was like 1,200 miles, and this is like fresh off the build. Like me and my dad threw the thing together in 20 days. Like zip ties everywhere. Like half the lights don't work. Like total just like slapped this thing together just to get it back home. Drove it down to Florida with a bunch of buddies. And then so how this ties into Runs Prime. Mike has a video on his phone, and I didn't know either of these guys at the time. This is like I was still living in Aiken, like all that stuff. But Mike's got a video, and I still had California plates on the Toyota. So Mike's got a video like going around the Toyota, and he's like, "Damn, look at this dude drove this pre-runner all the way from California," which like wasn't the case. Like I had it shipped to my house and then drove it down to Florida, which is a third of the way, but
still a decent bit of that's still good dude. Travels.
Yeah, so there's a video on my Instagram of me launching it over like a motocross jump and just absolutely bending the shit out of the front end. And the tires were brand new when I started the trip, and then I got home and both front tires were bald. Because I just bent the shit, and we just had like, I don't know, probably 20 degrees of negative or of toe in driving all the way home because everything bent so bad in the front. It just roached both the front tires.
Jeez.
But yeah, so that was like when like the first time me and Mike like crossed paths, and I didn't even meet him. He just took that video of my truck. But that's kind of like a funny, and then yeah, so I had that truck for a while, and then I actually sold it to buy a house. So I got some good money for that thing just because it was kind of unique and cool. So at that time, I guess I still had the fully caged up pre-runner when I graduated college, moved up to Greenville. That's kind of when I met Mike. One of my BMX buddies who was also at Swamp Fest that year hits me up, and he's like, "Hey man, my buddy Mike's moving to town. He's starting to get, because we're big into mountain biking." So he was like, yeah, my buddy's getting into mountain biking. He's a pretty sick BMXer. You should hit him up and y'all should go ride. And I was like, word, all right. But I'm not really like a super like outgoing person. Like I'm kind of a wallflower. like if somebody like comes and talks to me and I think you're cool, then like I'm your best friend, but I'm not gonna like go out of my way to. That's just how like I don't have a reason to be that way. It's just kind of how I am. But so yeah, so I reached out to Mike and I was like, "Fuck, we'll see how this goes." Because like BMX dudes, dude, they run like there's such a range of people that ride BMX. Like sometimes you get some dude who's just like tweaked out and wild, and like just not people you want to be around, and then sometimes it's like the sickest people ever.
Same with skaters too. You get that really just like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's such a array of people that come into these different sports, and yeah, I agree with you 100%. Sometimes you could go to a skate park and you'd like top of a quarter pipe just hanging out talking with somebody, but then you could go to the other side of the bank and like you don't even want to be around that guy for the next 4 minutes of your life. It's I know exactly what you mean.
Yep, exactly. So I was like, dude, we'll see which one Mike is. And I think he's probably somewhere in the middle.
That's a good point. I like that.
So buddy pulls up to our local trailhead and he's got this JK on 37s spooled up, and he's got this mountain bike that doesn't fit in this damn JK hanging out the back of it. And I'm like, all right, this dude's probably pretty cool. he comes screeching into the parking lot. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude, that thing's sick. But yeah, so then me and Mike have just kind of been homies ever since then. And then I met Hayes. You said what?
I was just saying, he's funny. He's such a shit stirrer.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, he's prickly. He's a bomb. He's one of the best dudes ever, though. He's definitely somebody that'll I got your back no matter what. But yeah. So then I met Hayes through Mike. I don't even remember. Probably just partying. Like we just had a big bonfire one weekend, and then we all went downtown and met Hayes that way. And I always knew they were both into off-roading. No, actually, I met Hayes at Windrock, I think so. I still had my Toyota pickup at the time, the caged up one. And at the time, it was on 33s. And I told Mike, I was like, hey, man, I'm like going up to Windrock. And he's like, sick. Yeah, my buddy Hayes, I think, is probably down. So Hayes shows up. This is the first time I met Hayes. So Hayes shows up, and he's got this ginormous 4Runner. I think he was on like 39s, but it was also on like a 12-inch lift. So the thing's just like so big. And I'm like, dude, we are not in the same ballpark here. Like, I got this like lowered long travel Toyota on 33s, and Hayes shows up and just like the biggest swamp donkey you've ever seen. And yeah, so we run blue trails all weekend, and Hayes is bummed on that. But yeah, that was the first time I met him. And then, so I guess I'll fast forward a little bit because I've been rambling for a while. But
I don't know. Keep going, man. Honestly, I'm loving it.
Yeah, that was a good story.
Cool. Yeah. So I ended up selling that, and then did some life stuff. And I'm real into like sports cars and BMWs and stuff too. So
I saw you have an E30 as well. That's cool.
Yeah. I've had a bunch of cool BMWs. I think the best one I probably had is like an E46 M3. It's kind of like the pinnacle of like, is 6-speed raw sports cars.
Oh yeah.
So that thing was sick. But yeah, so I was kind of out of off-road, just doing kind of the BMW, doing the track stuff for a while. And then Hayes, I think Hayes had bought the YJ. And then Mike was talking about maybe buying a rig. And I was like, I wonder if I could build something that's like, still kind of go fast style, but could still kind of hang with the boys. So I'm not like running blue trails the whole time at Windrock. And then I think it was like 2022, Ultimate Adventure had just come out. And there was a dude with a first-gen red 4Runner on 35s that did all of Ultimate Adventure. So I was like, all right, like if he can do Ultimate Adventure on a 4Runner on 35s, then that's what I'll build. Because it was IFS. It was like the style I like. So I built a green 4Runner, second gen, 1992, I think that was a 93, I think it was. I did a 3.4 swap in that, and then put a Total Chaos long travel kit on the front, and then did some fancy stuff with the rear links in the back of that 4Runner. And then so I built that, and then Hayes had bought the YJ. So me, Mike, and Hayes went to Gulches, which is like our little like local off-road spot here near Greenville. Pretty sick spot. Like it's only 80 acres, but there's some like gnarly stuff to get into there. Ultimate Adventure had been there a couple times. Yeah, anyways. So pull up to Gulches, start running around, like immediately just blow both the CV axles out of the front of the thing. And and then I'm just like, man, maybe this isn't the ticket. Like, just spent like all this money building this thing, like all this time, and so I was just kind of riding around in Hayes' YJ, and that was really the first time I had been in a rock crawler. Like, I always kind of thought they were goofy, like
They are definitely goofy.
super, like compared to like pre-runners, like going fast and like jumping big and stuff. Like they're super goofy, but they're
Well, it
really
makes sense. Like, every other sport, like running, it's like, okay, who can do it the fastest? Racing,
Yeah.
it's who can do it the fastest. So to kind of take, like, it makes
Rock
sense to
crawling's
build
like
something.
just who can do it.
Yeah. So I can
exactly.
definitely see where it's like kind of an odd thing. Where just like, I just don't get this. Why do you want to do this?
Yeah, 100%. I never understood it. And Mike and Hayes were so bonered out about it. Like every time we all hung out, they wouldn't shut up about like I didn't understand any of it. Like Dana 60, Dana 44. Like I didn't know what any of this shit meant because I was just full blown pre-runner guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we please start speaking English at some point in this conversation?
Exactly.
Who the fuck is
Yeah.
this Dana chick, and does she at least have a nice ass?
100%. And I was like, you guys are running 40s? Like, that's so much unsprung weight. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, none of that shit matters in rock crawling. But,
Unsprung weight is actually your friend in rock
Yeah,
crawling
yeah,
until it
but,
goes over the nose.
yeah. But yeah, so I rode in his YJ, and he took me on some of like the double Blacksted Gulches. I was like, damn, this shit's kind of sick. Like, like we're going real slow, but it's like still pretty like, gets your adrenaline up. But then I think really what kind of hooked me was just like the hanging out and partying and just like being around like the boys, like rock crawling itself is cool, but I think my favorite part about it is just kind of hanging out and like talking to people and partying and all that stuff. Yeah, so that kind of got me hooked. And then so that night we were at Chili's. There's a really shitty Chili's right outside of Gulches that we always go to. It's like the worst one ever. But
Never been to a Chili's.
Really?
Oh, no way.
Some Chili's aren't bad. Some of them are actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I love Chili's.
Dude, they have like an Asian chicken pasta at Chili's that is fire. So
Yes.
good.
That's my go-to.
So we have the other one that's not the Chili's. Why is the name? No, not Applebee's. It's like the Chipotle or Chipotle.
Absolutely not the same. Not even close to the same thing. But okay, all right.
That's as close as I've gotten then.
That's not even close. That's like being like, oh yeah, I've had Friendlies before, but we don't have that here. We have Texas Roadhouse. That's the comparison.
Okay. I'm not very socially adept, if you will, so I thought that they were the same thing because, like, whatever.
No,
I thought that Chili's,
Moe's, and Chipotle are the comparable.
I'd never been to a Moe's. I didn't know Moe's was like a burrito place up until like 3 months ago.
Moe's sucks.
We should probably let him continue because this has got me glued to the.
I like Moe's too. I don't know what you're talking about, Cody.
I don't know, dude. Okay, so back in the
day, I've never had one before. It was way better than I don't know about but it was different than Chipotle.
So
Chipotle.
Chipotle. I do like that they offer different things. They got the bowls, they got all those sorts of different things like that. But Moe's has not been the same since they had the chili lime like sauce that they had. That shit was fire. They got rid of it, and fuck that place. Nah, I can't go back now. But like I don't know, the last few times that I've been, it just has not been good food. So.
Well, like, dude, they changed like down here in the South. They like changed up the whole menu. Like they used to have it used to be like Joey Bag of Donuts was like just a burrito, which is cool. Like had some character. Now it's just like chicken burrito. You're like, damn,
sad.
Yeah. I could talk about burritos for hours.
Dude, I love burritos. We got a good spot up here called Bueno Isano. Graham knows all about it. That place is phenomenal. They really do a good job there.
Sick.
We've got a. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
I don't know if there's a Chili's near like the Meet and Beat or the Web Willers Ball, but if there is, we have to have a freaking rock crawler Chili's party.
Ooh. So maybe I don't know. Is there one near the Meet and Beat? Like I think there's a better chance of there being one by the Meet and Beat than there is one by like this year's Web Willers Ball.
There's probably one by there. Because it's gonna be like Kimball and that other town, They're
there's
like
kind of
actual towns.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They're like like once you hit the main area there by the McDonald's and all that, it's kind of like an actual legitimate town. But anyways, hold on. Quick go back a little bit. It's kind of funny. I was scrolling through your Instagram here, and it seems like you were riding BMX around the same time I was, when like chrome bars, white wall tires, having like one colored rim with one black rim, like that style was such a thing, and it's kind of unique to see it because like I was also riding BMX during that time, and like we had a nice little trail system. We used to call it the Tamarack Track. That's what we called it. And dude, it was the best thing for us. Like we'd get out of high school. Granted, I think you're a few years older than me. How old are you? 28?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, just based off the timeline when I was seeing it, I was 16 at the time, so I was still in high school. But it was fucking awesome because we would all get out of school, we'd ride the bus back to our houses, or if we rode our bikes at school, which not many of us did, but then we'd hop on our bikes, all meet up at the track, and it was so much fucking fun. It was just reminiscing of the good old times and getting really fucked up, trying to jump jumps that we were not supposed to be doing. And like, oh my God, I remember this one day. Oh my, it was great. It was a fucking awesome time. But we had this really sick, like nasty downhill to a berm that like 180 backwards. And then there was like a nice hip jump. And I tried to do you know what a T-bog is, Jordan?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I tried to do like a 180 T-bog and then land fakie, and I landed, but I didn't turn the wheel all the way back enough and got fucking ejectoed backwards. Took the wind out of me, and I was just it could have been 3 minutes, but it felt like an eternity of me just sucking wind, just like hoping to catch my breath again. Oh, good times.
Dude, yeah, BMX is the shit, man. I look back at some of the stuff we used to ride, and like if I was to do that today, there's like I wouldn't be walking anymore. Like
or wouldn't be going to work the next day.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, like I think if you talk to a lot of like people like that are into off road and stuff, it's kind of a pretty typical trajectory for like BMX kids to get into like cars and off road. And
either drifting or like rock crawling or pre-run or something, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty cool to see that. I don't know what about it that must like, because obviously somehow it tickles our brain in a way that we enjoy it. Yeah. So somehow it must probably tickle the same wavelength. And I guess it's just risking the chance of death, probably. Maybe that's.
I think for me, it's just like dude, when I was a kid, like out on the bike, like I could go anywhere. There wasn't any rules. Like, and off-roading and drifting and stuff are kind of the same thing. It's like you're just having fun. There's no boundaries. There's no rules. You just kind of, blast up this rock however you want to do it, and it doesn't really matter. So,
I don't know. There's definitely rules the day that the cop told me to throw out I had a joint one day. We were riding literally down the main road, and there was definitely rules that day when he yelled at me to throw that joint on the ground. So,
I mean, smoking drugs and grinding stair sets, that's a little different, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, there was this. I have to talk about it because it's been so fucking long since, and there will be never another reason to say this story ever. There was one night, me and a buddy were at my house, at my dad's house, and it was like 1:00 in the morning. We were bored as shit. We're like, fuck it, let's just go for a ride on the bikes. We hop on the bikes, we go down to like a Pride gas station, get some drinks or whatever. We're hanging out there. Like, fuck it, let's just go to the skate park. Like, what does it matter? We'll just go hang out there or whatnot. We get all the way down there. It's probably 4 or 5 miles. Nothing too crazy, but enough of a ride. We get all the way there. My buddy ran over a screw, popped his tire. So now we're like, fuck, it's 2 a.m. My dad's waking up at 5 in the morning. So I'm not going to text him and tell him what we're doing. We're just going to have to figure out how the hell we're getting about 10 miles back home with the popped tire. So we're like, fuck it. The kid who I was with, his name was Sam. Piece of shit, but besides that, he ended up fucking my girlfriend at the time for like 2 years of us dating. Yeah, whole crazy
goes
thing.
Back to the scumbag BMX kid thing.
It takes me back for sure. But he used to run cross country, so he's like, "Fuck it, I'll just like run the bike back, and then you ride your bike." I'm like, "All right, cool." Well, the problem is this man was not wearing a belt. So every time he would run like 20 feet, his fucking pants were falling down to his ankles. So he says, fuck it, takes his pants off, starts running with the bike with no pants on down the main fucking road. Granted, he has boxers on, but still, it's still fucking public indecency. So now it's 3 a.m. We're 18. We're high as balls. We're running down the middle of the street, and one of us is pantsless. This cop rolls up.
Oh shit.
I don't want to. There's a few describing factors about him that is not worth it for this portion of the conversation, but either way, he pulls us over and he's just like, all right, what the fuck are we doing, boys? He's like, what is going on here? And he was giving us such a hard time about it. And then like I literally sat there, I'm like, all right, and literally just explained the whole thing. And he goes, oh, actually, that's probably the most logical answer I could have ever heard in my entire life. He's like, all right. He's like, get home safe. We're like, thank you, sir. And just kept on going down the road with him half naked.
Dude, I feel like cops get stoked when they find high teenagers. They're just like, I'm gonna fuck with them a little bit.
Oh, he definitely did. He got us good because he was like grilling us hard. Like, and I'm like, God damn it, dude. Like, I'm just gonna whatever. Like, my dad was pretty chill. So like, even if like I called him, was like, hey, we need a ride. Like, sorry to wake you, but this cop's giving us a fucking hard time. He probably wouldn't have cared. Yeah, but. God, yeah, I think he was just enjoying messing with us and just be like, why is this man not wearing pants? Like, that's what he kept coming back to. It is so good. But anyways, let's wrap it back up to kind of you. We haven't even gotten into how the hell you ended up in the Cherokee.
I know, yeah. So all right, so I'll try to fast forward. So
You got the fast forward, just work towards it.
Keep going.
That day at Gulch's, so we're sitting at Chili's, and I don't know how it got brought up, but I was one of us was like, dude, if you buy a rock crawler, I'll buy a rock crawler. Because Hayes at this point was the only one that had the YJ. And I think that was actually the first day he had driven it. So me and Mike are like, dude, if you get a rock crawler, I'll get one. And Mike was like trying to buy a house at this point in time, and I had like just bought mine. So like neither of us had any money. But we were like, fuck it, dude, we're gonna get rock crawlers. So I was on. So there's a website called like SC Off-Road here in South Carolina. And it's one of those off-road forums where there's like 4 dudes that are on it every single day. And like, that's it. And like, they just keep the entire forum going. And like.
Still to this day? It's still going?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just like 3 or 4 dudes, man. And they just keep it running. So like every like 4 months, there'll be like a new classified ad for like vehicles. And the Cherokee had popped up. So this is like a day or two after the Gulch's thing, and I'm just like feverishly searching for anything that I could wheel. And I like having people come. Like, I want to be able to take as many people as I can along wheeling with me. So like I had to have a 4-door.
4 doors, more horrors. I get it. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Facts. Which like it actually narrows it down quite a bit. Like Cherokee and 4Runner. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
TJ,
or
you could get
4-door JK, but those are lame.
TJ.
TJ's
have rear seats.
There's got buckets in the back, huh? That's true. Yeah.
But oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. What were you saying?
I was gonna say though, if you're wheeling a TJ, you have to reinforce that whole like area, and you end up with the 2-door XJ problem where you're gonna have to hop in like over the tire through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But anyway, so it was either Toyota or a Cherokee, right?
Yeah, and I'm a Toyota guy through and through, so I was like hoping I'd find a Toyota, but the Toyotas are like, probably twice as much as Jeeps usually are. And so I was just scrolling SC 4x4, and I found this Cherokee for $6,000. And
what year is this?
I think it's a 99. I don't actually even know.
No. What year were you looking for?
Dude, this was like 8 months ago.
Oh shit. Okay, so like
yeah.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the full picture because like a $6,000 XJ back in like 2018 when I was first getting into it, you could get something pretty fucking gnarly for that.
Yeah, you could get something where it was like at least on tons and possibly caged.
But even like
but you don't want any of that. Like if you actually want to do the work, if 99% of the time you don't want somebody's hack job, because if they're selling it, not every case, but like most of the time, if they're selling it, it's because it wasn't what they wanted. You don't sell a rig you like. You're not gonna. You want to buy somebody's sloppy ass rig.
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
And kind of like to Graham's point, like going back, I'm not like a super good fabricator or anything, but like coming from the pre-runner world where everybody's like, super tight like notches, TIG welding, like everything's grade 8 hardware, like everything's limit strap properly done. And then coming into the rock crawler world, I was like, holy shit, dude, some of this stuff is so ratchet.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of wanted something that I could like that was a good foundation for me to kind of build off of. Um, yeah, so I found that, and you guys could tell me if I got ripped off. I probably did. I still don't know, but it was a 99 Cherokee. It came with a set of half doors. It's a 4-door Cherokee, so it had 4 half doors. It had party lights. It had the sketchiest cage I've ever seen in my life. But what got me is it had 37s and a Dana 44.
What
Auto
was
or
the rear?
manual?
It's an auto. Yep. Auto 4.0.
And what was the rear?
I think so the 44s came out of a Waggy.
Okay.
So it's whatever the rear of that.
44.
Yeah.
So it's a
So
44,
then-
44. That's actually pretty good because
Yeah.
the Waggies were really sought after for very specific things. Like again, we're pushing back 10 years when I say that the Waggies were sought after. Like before, people were like, "Oh, 1-ton swap the fucking world, woo!" And like to this day, people still do it. But as like Luke was just gonna tell you, is like it's a good axle. But if you're gonna spend the time and effort to do all the stuff to make those axles put under the Cherokee, you might as well do the tons.
I
kinda-
wasn't going there, but you
No,
ain't
okay.
wrong.
Okay, sorry.
What I
didn't
was
listen
about
for
to
you.
say was that, like, realistically, at 2020 plus pricing, $6,000 is like middle ground. You didn't get ripped off. It's closer to a good buy than a bad buy if the cage was good. So like you're kind of in that like just middle ground, especially for this time period.
Yeah, and if the rig worked for you, then I would say it's a good buy. Like that's how on the cusp, at least in my opinion, it is. Like my rig is nothing special, and I probably wouldn't sell it unless it was at least $4,500. So what's another
Yeah.
$1,500 on top of that for something on 37s with 44s?
That's
say that's
just
pretty-
the cost of 37s. At
That's
this
what I mean, you
fucking
know?
point.
Pretty
Like
much.
so that's a pretty good deal if you ask me.
Yeah, and it had some cool stuff on it. Like it had I think it's Iron Man, like the shackle relocation boxes and like their adjustable shackle. And then it had a long arm kit on the front, a PSC like big bore steering box.
Okay, you're starting to
Yeah.
you're definitely making
Yeah.
this number
I mean,
sound a lot
between
better.
all that stuff, you couldn't build that same rig for that price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's like a good buy at this point.
Yeah, and I had asked because like I said, I didn't know anything about this stuff, so I had sent it to Hayes and Mike, and they both kind of gave me that same opinion of like, it's not like a screaming deal, but you also can't really go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
anything's better than our friend Sean when he bought his original blue XJ thing.
that poor blue buggy
That
thing.
like he got a good deal ish. Like it was the
parts were
the
good.
epitome.
It was a
of
ticking
why
time
you
bomb. It was
don't-
like
Yeah,
buying
it
a
was-
bomb. It's gonna die completely at some point, and it did that.
It did.
but
it's
from
just
like
the
my
motor.
no, so like the
No,
whole thing was
everything.
just janky. The mount, everything that had a mount, the mount was janky as fuck. It had coils in the rear on a 4-link system, but it was kind of funky. Like it's just the epitome of. And again, I'm not shitting on Sean. Sean, you know, I appreciate whatever, but like, it's the epitome of what Graham was just saying, where it's like, don't buy somebody else's junk, even though it looks like it could be decent. You're gonna be swapping the whole thing over. And then he made the same mistake and bought another project, and then it was just a whole mess. But luckily,
will
he had
say that-
Graham.
I will say that this rendition is fucking awesome comparatively.
because of
This
Graham.
one
Yes.
is better because the body, while it needed a lot of modification to get to where it's at, was actually like a good starting platform. Had the person who bought it after the original owner hadn't made all those goofy ass mounts and just messed it all up, it would have just been a throw axles under it and have a good time sort of deal.
Yeah.
And it really that's where it's at. His problems are stemming from at this point, like not the suspension, it's the front axle has been giving him problems.
Yeah.
That's from that original buggy we're talking about. that was just a mess. I have never seen somebody make diff covers, like heavy duty quote unquote diff covers, like a kind of like a rough stuff cover, but from scratch. That's what these covers are on these axles.
That's kind of cool.
It
That is
is,
kinda
but it's
cool,
also
yeah.
terrifying because I was like, it looks normal, like it looks like a normal diff cover, like a fabricated diff cover you'd buy. And then you take it apart and you see the booger welds on the inside, and you're like, "Wait a minute, no company would sell this, or
That's
should,
fucking
right?
funny.
Like, in their right mind would sell this to anybody." So yeah,
Yeah,
and
so,
the
like-
gear sets are like iffy on those axles. When we were initially looking at them, when we were swapping everything over, I was like, well, they're in there and they act like the gear ratio is good. Just run it till it blows up and then worry about it. It can't really. You can spend the money now when they aren't blown up, or just wait till, they've spent themselves. You already have these ones. It's not like it's a 410, it's a 538. Like, good gear set, just bad execution.
What
Yep.
axles is he running it?
50, 10, 5.
Going to a 60 in the front. Now we're
Okay.
working on that.
He's
Yep.
on 44s.
But like, so from this conversation,
No, he's on a 50 10.5 or
gotcha,
10.25
gotcha.
Like,
system.
Beefy
Okay.
44.
Okay.
yeah,
Big
overgrown
U-joint
44.
44.
A big U-joint 44. Yeah, that's
What
a
it is.
way to explain it. I think the ring gear is just a tad bit bigger too. I think
Yeah,
it's
you-
a little
it's
bit.
like
bigger or something.
It's like
Yeah.
what a 44 should have been from the
Yeah.
get-go, if you will, but like it's not quite a 60. They're interesting axles and whatever, and they work relatively well if your goal is 40-inch or smaller DOTs. After that,
Yeah, I could say. Yeah, I like that.
after
Really?
that, they start to run into problems.
But you're
His
also dealing
problems-
with the pumpkin size too. Sorry to cut you off, but you're dealing with the 1-ton pumpkin size, but
Yep.
not the strength of a 1-ton. So
Where it would be super cool would be on a street rig, but shaved.
Yeah.
That would be fucking dope. Anyways,
but then you're reducing the amount of fluid.
Why would you shave an axle for a street rig?
Yeah, I was gonna
Well,
say I
I'm
think
saying-
that would be a bad idea. You're losing capacity of fluid, and I think once you
it doesn't
get
spin.
the
Going down the road, it's got lockouts. Just unlock them hubs and go, boy.
I forget. I'm not a 1-ton boy yet. I forget those things. That's a good point.
And I'm saying, like, if you wanted to build something where you wanted a cheap set of axles, the goal was more for, like, the street ability side of 1-tons, because unless you, like, if you keep it on a similar to factory style suspension, long arms, whatever, just not like coilovers with no sway bars, or you put sway bars on it, it would be a really interesting, like, budget 9-inch, especially if you wanted to get fancy with the welder and the, like, lathe. You could put 35 spline inners into a 50, shave the piss out of it, and then if you unlock the hubs and you just drive it, it would be a good, like, for a street driven TJ, it would be an interesting swap.
I could get behind that.
What's the difference between the 50 and the a Super Duty axle? Is it the same?
So the 50s are a Super Duty axle. It is a 60 pumpkin with a 9-inch ring gear and 30 spline inners. Otherwise, it is identical to a 99 to 04 60. But the 60 has the 9.5 or 9 3/4 ring gear with the 35 spline inners, a slightly bigger pinion, and then, like, otherwise the parts are the same. I'm running I have Dana 50 unit bearings that I got from Grem that are currently in my rig in the axle at the moment.
Is the ground clearance better because it's a 9-inch?
No.
Okay.
Nope. It's literally a Dana 60 pumpkin where they move the pinion down a little bit because of the smaller ring gear.
That makes sense.
So,
Not that bueno.
but back to the ratchet conversation. I think, to me, that's part of the charm of Graham's rig is it looks somewhat ratchet in the parking lot with, like, tires deflating, the lack of headlights, but then you actually walk up to it and like, sure, there's little bits not to be proud of, but it's a very well-built rig that just shows up and performs.
What parts are you proud of, huh?
The Kings, bitch. That's like, dude, it's the
Kings are
coolest thing.
sick.
Think of anybody looking at rig and just like, or you're at a gas station and somebody has like a semi-clue about off-road rigs. They're like, damn, dude, this guy drives this thing down the fucking street, like whatever. And then they walk up to it and they're like, oh shit, he's got Kings though, air bumps.
It's the only thing that like makes it look like a not pile of garbage.
Well, I meant like, I don't know if it came across. I said not to be proud of, like, you know, some of the ugly welds in this little area.
Yeah, we don't talk
that
about those at some point. That
every rig has them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Every rig's gonna have like where your welder was just being a bitch that day and you just freaking booger welded it. Yeah. Every rig has that for sure.
Also,
And
your sliders, Grem, are actually quality. Like the fitment on them, great. I don't know if I just roboted my thing said it was doing a weird thing. Okay, like your fitment, granted, that was before everything started getting really fucked up, but your fitment is pretty fucking nice. Back in the day when that was like clean and like new, you did a really good job with it, to be fair. So there is some things I would say you should be proud of that.
I mean, there's just a lot of like, I spent way too much time on them. Was what it was. It was like a weekend per side, and that was like just to get the majority of it done. And I did it the way I did it because Colin was like, "Oh yeah, just do 2x6 and then 2x4." And 2x4 is way too big. You don't need 2x4s for kickers. You end up having to cut a lot of floor out, but it did end up working out, right? Because it's different than a lot of other ones you see. Like just the way it's all laid out, it's more like a I don't want to say baby boat side, but not really. I don't know. Just
kind of are. They kind of are.
Yeah, it's like a baby boat side.
100%, I'd call it a baby boat side. I mean, other than like the flat bottom boat side, it's not. Like that'd be the only difference. Is like, you have the in betweens of the kickers, but I don't know. Like, or also another thing you could say about your rig is like, guess what? You got heated seats in this bitch. Like that's pretty cool. And
you got heated seats.
Yeah, and at some point, once he figures out the whole clock spring thing, he can say that his blinkers still work normally too.
Well, I didn't have blinkers before I could say they work.
But anyways, back to your white Jeep. So you pick the thing up.
Don't tell my girlfriend you have heated seats in your Jeep because she'll make me put those in the Cherokee.
They got more expensive too. They didn't used to. I mean, they were still pricey back then, but it was worth it. It's still probably worth it, but it's like an extra $200.
That's what it was back then, though. I thought it was like a $199 edition because I was pricing out seats around the same time.
I think I bought my set for like 12. I think you could.
That's
like the equivalent seat is probably like, I want to say 13 or 14 now. I could be wrong.
Wow.
But then again,
not for him. Not for him. He's runs Prime, dude. He gets a discount.
I got the PRP Premiers. It's not the daily driver. It's got the side bolsters because I knew I was going to be doing dumb things with it and wanted to have my seat kind of cushion me.
Support, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I'm looking at your rig on Instagram right now. Yeah, their sliders are really cool.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Nice. It was a mess. It was a mess to do them.
I like how you tied in the rear fender tube too. Yeah, it's clean.
Oh, like back into it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. It came out nice.
So yeah, Graham, it's not a total piece of shit. Come on, give yourself a little credit, bud.
Yeah, no, I mean that was something I was impressed with. Like when we went to AOP, like I think I was only like 2 or 3 months into rock crawling, but dude, there was some rigs out of AOP during the meet and beat, and I was like, damn, this shit. Like there was an MJ out there, a gold one. That was like
MJ crawling.
Dude, his rig is so nice.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of attention to detail on that thing. Really cool rig.
Yeah. That blew my mind.
It's so funny too, because you've got him and Duan together, and I am not taking away from Duan's fab skills because I know he's got some cool shit going on. But it's like you have this MJ that like pristine. And then you have this other MJ that has a hole in the hood to fit the SRT.
It's two
and the
entirely
turbo.
different aesthetics, completely,
Yes.
and they're both cool. Like, I don't know, that thing fucks the little
Yeah.
SRT4.
The only thing that sucks about it is when you're hungover, hearing that thing on rev limiter for about 20 minutes.
No, it's your wake up alarm.
Oh,
It did wake me up that fucking morning, I will say that. Started it up, hit the rev limiter, and then I crawled out of the truck.
I was
But he was nice. Sorry.
talking to him because he was on a 44 in that rig. So I was thinking of keeping the 44 in mind. So I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, keep a 410 ring and pinion in it. Keep some meat on the pinion." And then I think he was running RCVs.
He was.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, so that's kind of the testament to like how much stronger the RCVs are. The fact that he was keeping those alive. I think he still broke one, but
Doesn't surprise me at all.
I was snapping 44 shafts like left and right.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said about running a 44 with RCVs and 40-inch tires and just dealing with the consequences, because there are going to be some consequences. Like, you're pushing the limits of what a RCV is allowed to do, and the wheel bearings and all the other components there, like, it's just lighter duty stuff, but way lighter axle, and your ground clearance is considerably better. That thing has... There's still this one time, the first time we were at the meet and beat, we went out at night, and me and Colin were like kind of trying to hammer up this thing, and it was just not going. And Chris comes up with his MJ, and it was a ground clearance thing and a power thing, and just, weight was a factor. And both me and Colin have 4.0 Cherokees that are weigh a shitload. Colin's on 37s and the 44, and I think I was on the 40s, but I had the 60, so a little bit less clearance, so probably ended up evening out. But then Chris comes up with the 40s on the 44 with the RCVs and all the pieces, and a little more power, and the rig's probably a little lighter because there's not a lot to it. Like, it's very basic looking. I mean, maybe there's more going on, but it seems like it's just a beat up MJ with probably bare minimum things to keep. I don't even want to say keep them safe, but like, I don't think there's even seatbelts in that thing. But like, just bare minimum. It's got to be light as hell. And me and Colin spent a solid 15-20 minutes on it combined, and he just did it in like one shot.
20
just
seconds.
Boom, up. Yeah.
Also, I just realized something. Aaron and Chris are like John and Casey. One of them's got a really nice rig that it's meticulous amounts of time into it. And then there's the other one.
And they're both having fun. It's just one's going to last and the one you throw in the dumpster after a season.
Nope. Both of those rigs have lived quite a while.
But anyways, all right. So you buy this thing. It's on 44s.
Yeah.
Let's keep on rocking with this story. I'm interested. I'm invested.
So I buy it and so this is like 2 days after the Gulches trip. So I'm just like fully manic, like looking for a rock crawler. Stumble upon this one, drive to Greenwood, South Carolina, which is like an hour away, all back roads. Buy this thing at like 11 o'clock at night on like a Tuesday. And I didn't have a trailer or like anything to tow it with, so I just drove this thing home. Like, busted out taillights, like party lights going. I couldn't figure out how to turn the fucking party lights off, so like I'm just like strobing all the way home. And like half doors, like things on 37s. They got like 8 PSI. The thing's covered in mud because like I didn't wash it, which pissed me off.
Yeah.
But that's a different story. So like, park this thing in my driveway, wake up the next morning, I'm just like, dude, what have I done? Like,
now you're in it.
Now I'm in
How'd
it.
the girlfriend take it?
She's cool, man. Yeah, my girl's down for whatever. She's mellow. As long as the mortgage is paid and the house is warm, she don't care.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But so then we took it to Gulches, had a freaking fantastic trip. Like, it's actually funny. So that was the first time I met Shop Kid. So Shop Kid now comes into the story. So I planned this trip to Gulches with like Hayes and Mike, and I don't think so. Mike hadn't bought his 4Runner yet. I think he bought. I think he might have bought it the day that we all went to Gulches with my rig. So I pull up and Mike calls me. He's like, "Hey, dude, I'm not gonna make it, but my buddy Shop Kid's there." And I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck's a Shop Kid?" And he's like, "You're about to find." Yeah, the ultimate. He's like, "You're about to find out," and then he just hangs up. I'm like, "What is this?" So I get there, and there's this freaking dude. He looks like he's in the Beatles, and he's just like sitting next to this crazy ass swamp donkey rig. And I'm just like, "What is this?" He's pounding twisted teas. And
Dude, he's funny as fuck.
dude,
My
Connor's
first,
the man.
my first impression of him was, what fucking swamp did he crawl out of?
Yep.
And I bet you that if you're fucking looking for weed, this dude's got the best shit that you're ever gonna smoke.
Dude, allegedly, I'm not gonna comment on that.
I mean, I'm not gonna say nothing either. But tell me that
You
is
might
not
be-
the most fitting vibe ever.
100%.
So I didn't
100%.
know who Shop Kid was until the Web Wheelers Ball, and my introduction to him was being plastered, not flopping, but almost flopping my rig with Cody driving it, and then getting Graham onto his side, and then Shop Kid just slots in and blows his shit up on that same obstacle.
Dude, that rig spent every single night in the woods at a different location during the Web Wheelers Ball. He blew it up every night at a different spot. Fixed it every night, which is
Just
even
the
more
fact
impressive.
that it kept coming back the next day, though. That's
so good.
Oh, he didn't quit. Nah,
He's
he
good.
doesn't
All right,
quit.
sorry. I didn't mean to go. So what the fuck is
yeah.
a Shop Kid?
Yeah, so Shop Kid's the man. So he works with Mike. Mike's I think he's like the manager. I don't know who the hell would give Mike a manager position, but they did. Of Race City Steel. And Shop Kid, I think he just works with them. I think he works under Mike. They just, like Shop Kid's been into rock crawlers for a while, and he just happened to get a job at Race City, and him and Mike are just good buddies. So yeah, so that was the first day I met him, and he was I've never driven a rock crawler. Like, this was the first time I was even driving one besides my freaking Hardy strobe light mission from Greenwood. So he was like, "Yeah, man, like I'll show you the park, and I'll kind of show you how to not like flip that thing over." And I was like, "Cool." So I just start following him, and I was bummed. I was like, "Dude, this thing feels like it's gonna do a kickflip. Like driving so shitty. Like I'm used to like IFS long travel, like properly coilover and damped. Like like you can go pretty fast over some big bumps in those kind of rigs, and that was not the case with the 44s and the metal cloak front suspension and no, it was
very different.
all over the place, and I was like, "What have I bought?" But so I was like, I think, dude, I almost flipped it like the first 20 seconds of us being at Gulches, like 2 tires in the air, like super sketchy. But after that, Connor kind of gave me some good tips, and yeah, we had a great day out at Gulches the first time I was wheeling it. Didn't break anything, and I was pretty happy with it at that point. And then I think later that day, Mike actually pulled up with his blue 4Runner. That was the first day that he bought that. And he had some issues on the way back with that thing too. I think actually with Hayes' tow rig, not even with the 4Runner. But yeah, so he pulls up in that, and it's like, dude, our crazy plan has come to fruition. All the boys have rigs now. So that was super sick. And then I think the next trip, if I remember right, was so we did Gulches. Yeah, and then we went to Windrock, and that's Vietnam that I think y'all had talked about with Hayes and Mike already. Where we spent 9 hours on one trail in the pouring rain. And Mike's ring and pinion blows up. I'm driving down the main strip at Windrock, and my back tire just goes into the woods, and I just leave like a 20-foot hole in the gravel from my back tire. That was a terrible trip. And
That doesn't sound like fun.
dude, it was pretty fun. but like it wasn't, but it was like in hindsight, type 2 fun. Yeah, so Vietnam happened, and then I was a little defeated. I was like, dude, this thing just like sheared all 6 lugs off the back of it. That's pretty scary. Like, like, so it turned out that I guess the Waggies, for some reason, they can get away with running like a really, really small wheel stud in the back.
Yeah, they
So-
run like a half 20.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like
because
real
it's-
shallow.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's because it's on a steel stamp wheel so it doesn't
Yep.
need much. Yep.
Yeah, but this rig had like some cheesy, 17-inch alloys that had like a super deep
Mhm.
dip. Of course, the lug nuts weren't the right like conical shape or whatever.
Classic.
Yeah, so the thing just deletes itself into the woods at 2 a.m. in the rain. That was sick, but so then like me and Mike are like, oh dude, what have we done? Like we spent all of our money buying these things and now we gotta fix them and they're still probably shit boxes. And then I think we go to Harlan and like Harlan, I think Mike had a really, really good run at Harlan. This whole time, Hayes is wise J's just eating, not giving a fuck. But yeah, I think Mike had a good trip at Harlan, and then I think I broke a front axle on the 44, and that was the first time I started breaking axles because I started getting like a little more confident. in my
Yeah, you
driving.
start getting the false confidence, I call it.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was just using more skinny pedal. so I spent that whole trip like we call it the Harlan runaround. So if y'all ever in Harlan and you break an axle or you need some parts for your axles, you got to go to Little Chris. So there's a guy named Little Chris, and him and his dad have this massive junkyard, and they probably have like 500 different axle sets just like sitting in this ambulance. They have like all these old ambulances like lined up, and they have all these like organized axles like in the ambulances in Harlan. So I got the Kentucky runaround, spent 5 hours, finally ended up at Little Chris's, got an axle, put the axle back in, and then broke the other side that next morning. And I was like, damn, this
Oh my
sucks.
god.
Yeah, and like so I was like, damn, dude, like rock crawling kind of sucks again. And then so then I what happened? So then I put chromoly shafts and I weld the because I think what was happening with those was the U-joint caps weren't welded to the flanges. So the caps would back out and then, it'd eat out the flanges on the axles. So I got chromo shafts and then I welded the caps in. And then I think I made it through a good trip after that. I don't remember what it was, but then we went to the I think it was a meet and beat. And no, it wasn't. Not meet and beat yet. I don't know. We went somewhere and I broke another axle shaft and I was like, all right, dude, like, what are my options? And then that's when Hayes and Mike started kind of talking about tons and like explaining what 1 tons were to me. And I was kind of noticing like everybody was running like way bigger axles than I had on 37s and 40s under their Cherokees. So I started kind of getting that idea in my head, like, all right, maybe like, in a season or two, I'll throw some 1 tons under this thing. So then we went to So then I was like, all right, before I do that, I need to cage this thing because I'd already had a couple times where I was like really close to flipping it. And the cage that was in the thing was super sketchy. It was like 1.25 inch, 90
Oh
wall.
god.
Yeah, like welded seam. And then the craziest part was like the dude had made the thing in like 3 different pieces, like vertically, right? So he had like 6 inches. So I guess going from like the bottom of the Cherokee to the top of it, he had like 6 inches where his like A, B, and C pillar met the body. And then that was one piece. And then on top of that, he had about 20 inches where he welded, like just like seam welded like a 20-inch stick to the top of that. And then he somehow got around to making like all the bends and everything on like that 3rd level that was like the other, I don't know, 15 or 20 inches of the top of the cage. I don't know if that made any sense the way I just explained that.
So his
cage,
the vertical like support bars were multi-piece, like welded together.
yeah. So every
That's fucking terrifying.
so the A pillar was 6 different pieces.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude. And I didn't know any of this because he must have been like the world's best like weld grinder because like it was smooth. Like he probably put some Bondo in the weld or something. I don't know, but like
Oh
when
my.
I finally cut that thing out, I was like, oh my god, dude! Thank God we didn't roll this thing because I'm of the opinion like a shitty cage is actually worse. Like
Uh-huh.
you're just gonna hit your head on some pieces of metal instead of like sheet metal.
Yeah.
But so I ended up getting like a welder.com cage. So I was following Brob and Brandon, and I saw that he had a welded cage, and it seemed like he was happy with this. I went ahead and ordered one. I liked the way that guy like did all this triangulation and stuff. So I caged it up, and then thankfully I caged it up because then that was the meet and beat where I rolled it on flat ground at the drags.
Oh my god. I didn't even I forgot that you rolled it on flat ground. I wasn't there, so but I remember hearing the story.
Yeah. It was another like me thinking I'm in a pre-runner and can like slide the thing, and it just went right over. It just didn't do what I told it to. But yeah, so that was a pretty good trip besides all that. And then I think I think at the meet and beat, Mike blew up his front end, and then he was like, all right, dude, it's time to like ton swap these things. I was like, all right, cool. So then I bought some Super Duty axles. I had Shop Kid cut all the crap off the front of the steer axle. Like cut all the casting and stuff just because I was reading that was like a complete pain in the butt. And I was kind of busy with work at the time, so and he said he had done it before, so I just dropped the axle off with him. He did that. And then so then I did like a Barnes truss, TMR high steer, just kind of like copy and paste, your typical Super Duty build. And yeah, dude, the thing's been great since that. Like I haven't broken an axle. Been chasing some power steering problems, but besides that, yeah, it's been super good.
Welcome to Rock Crawlers.
Yeah, facts.
You're gonna have that from time to time, and then once you finally get it, you'll be happy with it for like 3 years, and then maybe less, maybe more. I don't know. But after that, full hydro just becomes an inevitability.
Yeah, it's been knocking on my door. But
I feel that.
Yeah. So yeah, been loving the Super Duty axles. Yeah, so then that's just kind of how we finished out the season. With the cage and with the Super Duty axles, and then just kind of how it was when I bought it. So that kind of brings us up to where we're at now. Yeah,
it seemed like it was partying at the Web Wheelers Ball.
Huh.
Yeah, it was
backwards.
Yeah, dude. So yes, we can talk about that then because we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're all at Keyhole, and so all these. It's funny, like all these trips. Like Hayes would just text me and be like, "Hey, drive here next weekend." I'll be like, all right, cool. Like I didn't do any research, didn't know where we were going. Like I didn't know who any of you guys were. And I was like, Hayes was
good. That makes me feel better about not knowing who you guys were. So I'm totally okay. I'm happy because when you guys first rolled up, they were like, "Oh, those are the Runs Prime guys." I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Yeah, dude. And they were telling me they're like, it's like Blue Collar and the Waltz Crawlers, and I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are, but that's cool. They all got Cherokees that look like mine, so that's sick.
Then you found out very quickly.
Yeah, how much of a piece of shit mine was.
That was still one of the smoothest exits from Keyhole. Not yours, but yeah. Your exit from Keyhole was a little bit less than that. What happened? You blew the rear drive shaft out of it because it was a stock Cherokee shaft?
Yeah. So I was running just like the stock slip yoke, which is a huge mistake. And I was chasing like axle wrap problems pretty much the whole season, needless to say. But yeah, before we all jumped in the rigs and went to Keyhole, I kind of looked at my back tire and I was like, my back tire is really wet. Like that's kind of weird. Like we hadn't really been through any mud today. I didn't really think much of it. And then we go over to Keyhole, and yeah, the rear drive shaft falls out, and I start going backwards, and I hit the brakes, and nothing's there.
Oh,
and I was like,
that's terrifying.
Oh shit! So So then my dumbass, I put both of my feet in, which is like something they teach you, like if you're doing like autocross or like track days and you're driving like a manual car, you put both your feet in. So like you put, and that's obviously the clutch and the brake. But my Cherokee's an auto, so I put both feet in and I hit the gas and the brake. So then I launch backwards and then I realize what I'm doing. So then I just lay on the brake and dude, thank God I hit the only like stump in the entire place.
Mm-hmm.
Because I looked back, like, behind Keyhole, it just goes on.
It's
forever.
a hill. It just goes
It's a
off.
field, dude. That would have been a wild fucking ride. That really,
Yeah, that
like,
would have been like put that thing into first and hope
or
that it grabs
reverse
something.
and do a
That would-
J turn. Like I don't
That
even know
would have
what
been the
like
move. Yeah.
it would have been sketchy though. That would have been a hell of a ride.
Yeah,
Whew.
in the moment, that would have been a. It's anybody's guess as to how you would have reacted, I guess.
Well,
Yeah,
you
well,
also would have plowed
Yep.
into. I think Billy was behind you at that point.
I thought it was Gibson. I thought Gibson was in that direction. I could be wrong.
don't-
I don't know if Gibson
don't
had
know
showed
if
up
I-
at that point yet.
It was pretty
It's like-
clear. There wasn't any rig or anything in your way. It was just
No.
straight hill. Whether there was a
Yeah.
person there, I don't know. But
Yeah, they got legs. They can move on
irrelevant.
their own. You just run 90 degrees of whichever direction and be fine.
Yeah.
But
90 degrees, yeah.
yeah, from the object coming at you, you just go 90 degrees. You know, that's what they.
That is
It's like
that is a rule
tactics.
of thumb.
Yep. Learned that from dirt bikes. But yeah, that. Geez, man. I mean, that would have, especially if you had rolled, there would have been nothing. It would have just kept going and
Dude,
going
oh my God,
and
I
going.
know.
It would have been a mess.
I think I would like to think that I eventually would have like had some sense about me and like not been hitting the gas and the brake at the same time, and then also maybe put it in drive because I still had the front drive shaft. So like that would have, it might have just broken the front shaft throwing it in drive, but since I was on grass, it probably would have slowed it down.
Yeah, it would have started spinning. Hopefully.
Yeah, but thankfully there was a tree. I hit the only tree that slowed
Yeah.
me down, but
And then I
that was
queued up
freaky.
right after you.
Then I gave you some terrible advice on how to drive.
Was it that night? I
Yeah,
thought that
yeah.
was.
That was-
Oh, yeah.
Remember the guy in the Ibex style buggy went the hero line with no training fluid and like was like revving the piss out of the thing? That was the same night.
Oh, so I showed up. That was the night that we showed up late then, because I
Yes.
wasn't there
Yes,
for
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We
I
showed
was
up
there
after
for
the-
him having the drive shaft problem.
We pulled up to that, yeah. Like we
Mhm.
were literally pulling up as he was having the meltdown. Not not a mental meltdown, but
Oh,
like
dude,
the
it was a
vehicle
mental
meltdown.
meltdown as well.
I would have shit my pants if that was me.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
that definitely would have gotten me going for sure. But yeah, that was, I don't know, that weekend in general was just like, I don't know, we've talked about it plenty of times, but it really was just a really cool conglomeration of just some really sick group of friends all meeting up at one spot and having a hell of a time. It was awesome.
Yeah, it really was. And like us, I think the only trail I really did was Cripple Creek, which kind of sucks because I was watching Ultimate Adventure and there seems like there's some really cool stuff.
Oh, there are some awesome fucking trails there.
Yeah.
Sadly, we can't go back.
We can't bring an event back, but that doesn't mean that we can't go back.
Accidentally
that-
all show up on the same weekend.
That's the thing I'm concerned about. Is like if we go back, it's not like we're not gonna mention it on the podcast. And
Yeah.
like, what's stopping it from turning? Like, I guess okay, we just don't put a banner up on like in front of our cabin. We don't tell them that hey, we invited a bunch of people. Like, I guess we could probably get away with it. But also, there's no
I
night
don't
wheeling
know.
now. It's not the same place
It's
that
not.
it was.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
No, like we can't night wheel at all. Like is it 12 or is it when
11.
it's dark? So like, I mean, okay, we could get a few hours in and it'll keep us out of a little bit of trouble, but like, I don't know. I think it'd be cool, but I could definitely see us having an issue again if we go. That the
Yeah,
fact
that
that
would-
like people are gonna want to come and hang out with us. So
Yeah,
We'll
that
see.
would have to be like a invite 5 people and show back up very quietly and just be the
Yeah.
quiet group in the corner.
that's lame.
That is lame, but is what
Not
it
very-
is.
You're talking
very-
about a good evening?
yeah.
Yeah, I
How
don't
far
know
is
about that.
How far is it from you?
12 hours on the dot.
Oh damn, yeah. See, it's half that for us. It's like 6. So
It's
like
18 to AOP.
for y'all.
For
Holy
well,
crap.
for me and Graham. For Luke, it's
And
sub
Richie.
2 hours. Yeah, and Richie.
Depending on traffic and depending on weather and all that other fun shit, fastest I've made it there is an hour and 15 minutes, and because of the time change, I had to leave my house 15 minutes before I wanted to get there.
Yeah, that's a W. I wish.
It's
are you at?
hilarious.
Drive.
I live in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Okay.
So I'm like I said, if there's no traffic, I'm an hour and 15 from AOP. If there's traffic, it's an hour and 30 to an hour and 40.
What about Windrock? How far are you from Windrock?
Hour and 30.
He's never been.
Sick. What?
He's never been.
And
Yeah.
we'll never go.
Please
What?
tell Shop Kid to give him the tour because he needs it.
Oh, dude, we're going.
Yeah, I've already gotten my shit kicked in by Logan and all of that. We're going to Windrock at some point this year. It might be Logan's shakedown, but it is definitely happening.
That
might
sounds
be
like a
going.
hell of a place for a shakedown, though. That's a big property to have the false
Yeah.
confidence of 4 trails going
That's
really
literally
well.
Southern wheeling. You break your things about 10 miles away from camp and you have to drag it out somehow. That's just
I just like
Southern
AOP
wheeling.
AOP is cool.
because you
You're
don't
right
have to
there.
do that.
Yeah, you got to mix it up though, Luke. All you do is go to ALP.
Dude,
I'm
Windrock-
okay with that.
Windrock's probably one of my favorite places on the planet because we're like we race mountain bikes too, and they have
Yeah.
like some of the best mountain bike racing. And
Best
dude,
of
it's
both
just like
worlds.
it's.
I'm signed up
there.
for a shooting competition at Windrock, so
Nice.
Yeah, if I
They
ever
do
won
it
the
all.
lottery, I would definitely open a place like Windrock. Like,
Right.
obviously, there's probably so many logistics that are actually involved in me saying that statement, but just having like availability for like rally racing, downhill mountain biking. I'm pretty sure there isn't there a motocross track there as well. Like,
Yeah.
like having just it's like Woodward, but for motorized vehicles. Like that is what.
Exactly. It's-
And that's fucking badass. I think that'd be really cool but obviously I'm poor, so that'll never happen. But if I ever say I'm opening up a property, you know what? I won the lottery.
so
Peggy's
the part
Park.
that
Hell yeah.
He's part.
I got it. I'm coining it already. Perfect. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're good. For the meet and beat though, Jordan, I definitely have to let you take my rig for a rip up the
Yeah.
green trails just to see what your reaction is if you like driving stuff fast, because it's actually like somewhat pleasant to drive fast. It's
that's sick.
I honestly though, Luke, if you put anti-rocks on that thing, it would be planted as fuck. Like it would go fast. Like it's already good the way it is, but there is a decent bit of body sway that you get just from the suspension, doing its normal things, which is great for rock crawling. But if you put a nice set of anti-rocks on that, I bet you could actually do some damage going quick with that.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. The plans are in the works, but I'm
Rocks
just
aren't
not
that expensive.
No,
700
what I want to
grand
do is
scheme of
going to be a
things.
little bit of a motherfucker.
Are they 700 now? I thought they were cheaper than
Yeah,
that.
I was looking at them
Damn.
yesterday. I think they're about 7. But there's Luke, so what do you think? What do you contribute to allowing your rig to not feel like it's going to do a kickflip?
Oh my god,
lot
that's a loaded
has gone
question.
into that.
That is a loaded fucking question.
I built the suspension to do what I wanted it to do. Part of the rig's future in life is I have to lower it to get the suspension to really be where I want it to be, because when I built it, it was supposed to sit 2 inches lower than it does.
Coil over things.
Quick question though, Jordan. Have you dabbled in like suspension geometry yet for 3-link and 4-link specific?
So not anything custom.
Okay.
I just
That would give you your answer entirely. Is like diving into that, even if it's just touching your, like tipping your toe into the water, or even if you picked up like one of the old school 4-link drag racing books, like having that understanding, like you, again, Luke could nerd out and tell you every ounce of exactly what he did for his suspension.
Honestly,
and it works. But
I would tell you before you do any like digging onto forums is to listen to the Mike Catrini podcast.
oh
Yeah.
shit, yeah, that's actually a fucking phenomenal option.
Yep.
It's a long one, but it's loaded with a bunch
Really?
of suspension, just
Absolutely
gold.
tech filled.
Yeah, I'll have to dig into that.
I spell his last
just
name Trini.
Catrini.
Yeah.
Cat Rainey.
So episode 124 for the boys.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably right before I started listening. Yeah, I'll have to dig into that one.
It's a good one.
So
Wait, hold on. We're on IMDb. What in the
What?
fuck? Bro, what this episode is literally on because I Googled it to figure out what episode it is, and it's literally the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, all episodes, Building a Better Buggy with Mike Catrini.
Oh yeah.
What the
Damn,
fuck?
that's wild.
Well, yeah.
Dude, we got to put headshots in now. We're on IMDb, dude.
what is
the-
IMDb?
It's
It's like a
um,
movie thing.
Yeah. Bro, what we actually have like a page. Did somebody do this?
No.
We have like a full page. Like there's a thing where it says photos, storyline, timelines, user reviews, top picks.
We can write our
Release
our
date?
plot.
Bro,
Hell yeah.
What the fuck? Look at this. This is crazy. Sorry to cut you off, Jordan. I know, but
Oh, you're
I
good.
apologize. I was never expect this. This is very interesting.
It's only got 119 episodes though.
Yeah, but still, maximum effort. Episode 30. Oh, I wonder if it's because it doesn't like certain episodes.
No.
Can we delete episode 40? I don't like episode 40.
Which one's episode 40?
I'm going to listen to episode 40 after this.
Why can't we? Come on, let me delete it. Remove it from this planet.
No, it has to stay. They all have to stay.
Fine.
Like-
how many people are listening usually per episode?
It all depends. It really
yeah,
varies
it
if you can do
varies anywhere from like 500 to 1500.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
We're also on Pod News, bro. What the fuck?
That one
Who-
doesn't surprise me because it's RSS feed related.
We're also on a Chinese website, but I'm not clicking that link.
Yeah, I ain't clicking that link either.
We're on 5 stars on Pod News, though. That's a W.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. Anyways, back to your question. The majority of it comes down to when I sat down to build my rig, I was like, I don't give a fuck what I have to cut out in the floor to get everything how I want it to be. And it was just like, I saw the numbers that worked in Ultra 4 cars. I looked at what I had to cut and I was like, all right, well, I know that this is the stuff I want, but I also realized that I don't have an Ultra 4 car, so this is some of the rock crawling blended in, and like it ended up being a very nice general purpose suspension. It goes fast well, it crawls well, but it's not really like a master of anything. It just kind of does everything okay or good.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to drive it. I think mine like the front end just feels so soft. Like I have those metal cloak like dual rate springs. And they must only have like a 90 pound per inch rate to them because they just like, dude, I can bottom it out on speed bumps.
All right, so we're going to get into something that you probably know more than I do about, but what kind of shocks are you running on the front of
That's
it?
another thing. Those stock ones that came on that metal cloak kit probably back in like 2012. So I definitely need to put like some proper dampers on it, but it's like, do I just go full coilover or do I like, spend $300-400 on some tunable dampers? I don't know. I think that would go a long way though.
To be honest with you, I'm running Bilstein F250 shocks because I was looking for the dampening, and the back of a 2004 F250 was pretty close to what I wanted for dampening, and it was like a half-inch longer than I wanted, so I was just kind of like, oh, well, this works, and they're just Bilstein 5100s.
Running in the front?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah,
I
that makes
mean,
sense.
if you think about it, you're just looking for dampening. So like they had what I wanted and they were the right length. I had to knock some bolts out or knock the eye bolt hole out and replace the sleeve to go up to a ½ inch, but like whatever.
Yeah,
They were
no,
like $90 a piece.
you can't beat that.
Nope. And then I run 180-pound spring rate Clayton coil up front.
Yeah, see, I'll have to get the part number off that coil from you. Because your rig doesn't sit up too tall, but that's probably double the spring rate that I have right now. Um, so I think that would probably go a long way. I did mess with the track bar quite a bit too. Um, I just like I made it as long as I could, and then I put it on the same plane as the what's that, the drag link? Is that
Drag
what it
link.
is? Yeah, drag link. I'm still learning all the names of the bars, but and like just driving that down the street like 2 days ago, that made a huge difference. Like it had pretty bad bump steer before.
Yep.
And just doing that, like just kind of going over my speed bumps in my neighborhood, that made a big difference. And then I replaced all the worn out Johnny joints with just Heim joints too, and that did huge too. So
Yeah, you'll get that. I like Johnny joints for their rebuildability, but when they're at the end of their life, they are not very nice.
yeah,
But
these probably had like I don't know, a quarter inch of play in them, like, and there was like 3 or 4 of them that were bad.
yeah,
So
that ain't helping nothing.
no, just that alone is probably going to be huge. But
Yeah, that's a couple, or that's a little bit of caster. That's like what, ½ a degree of constantly shifting, and then you add the upper end, so you're probably changing your caster around like maybe a degree, degree and a half.
yeah.
I'm gonna turn this dude into a copy pasta. Y'all should see this thing. Somebody
Oh,
left us.
God.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I kind of went off on a tangent. For some reason, there's a lot of web pages that have our podcast stuff on it, and there's a review that I find absolutely hilarious. But I'll post it into here so you guys can see it.
We're not just gonna read it out loud.
I'll read it. So, Mud Raider, the guest is an extremely knowledgeable driver / builder. The host, only 2 were there for episode 64, are half good. The older one was great listening to his working knowledge, and the younger one sounded like a teenager who just moved out from his mother's apron, cursing unnecessarily and worrying about bouncing off the limiter as an inspiration.
That's gotta be one of y'all's friends fucking with you, right?
Who's he calling the old one? Who's
I don't
the old
fucking
one?
know, dude, but he gave us 5 stars regardless, so I'll
It
fucking
was
take it.
episode 64, so now I have to go and figure out what.
Who's
That
the old
was-
one? Who's the young one?
Oh my god, you know what this is? This is me and Richie's bullshit episode from 1 year when you guys went to fucking not Hollywood, Kentucky. Episode 6, only 2 of the
That's the one he chose to review.
Jesus Christ. What a guy.
The 2
Well-
not good guests.
Well, Mr. Mud Raider, I hope you're still listening and we've gotten better because you literally chose, and I'm sorry, Jordan, to pull away from, I know this is your episode
That's
here.
hilarious.
Well, holy shit.
The
That is
raccoon episode.
oh my god, that is is that actually it? Do we look
It's
it up?
gotta be only 2 of you.
Yeah. Oh my
62 is it's probably 62 and a half.
No, 64 is Nick LeBlanc's first episode.
gosh. This one says
Were there
Florida
only
Man.
was there only 2 of us there?
This one says oh yeah. No, the 100 no, so there was me. No, you just
Oh,
weren't
but
here
Richie
for this
doesn't
one.
talk, so he probably wasn't thinking about it. Luke, he was probably ragging on Luke.
Yeah.
Would he
No,
be
yeah, he's ragging
on
on me. I was gonna say
He
I'm
was
probably the
ragging
one
on
that-
Cody. I was probably the older one in that.
Unless Nick
The
LeBlanc was the
knowledgeable
older one.
Oh my gosh, the world may never know. We're all fucked up now.
If only
All
he knew our names.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry to pull us away from that. I just saw that. I'm like,
that's
man,
funny.
I have to
That's
share
a funny
this.
review.
I
These
feel like
still
y'all
give
should
it
have
5
a,
stars.
I feel like y'all should have a sponsor by now. Does anybody
Ah,
hit y'all
maybe.
up or not?
Maybe one day. Maybe one day. There might be some stuff in the works. We don't know. No, we honestly, we just haven't. If we started cold emailing people, I'm sure that we could probably get something rocking and rolling. We've had
But
a
that
few
ain't how we
discussions.
roll. At least that's not how I want us to roll. It's not a.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not worth it for. Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
sell out.
listen, it's like my intro, okay? It's just not. I don't know. It's not something we do because we want to get
That's
in
not what it's
with.
about.
In
Yeah.
reality,
PRP
I
and-
think we want to make sure that we can offer something to a company before we ask for something in return. I think that's like the biggest thing on my end is like,
And if they listen and they think that we have something to offer them, then go for it. Reach out. But otherwise,
want to be more organic.
yeah, it's not we're not trying to make money off of this. We don't make any money off of this. This is purely for our enjoyment and entertainment and sometimes suffering. We enjoy that.
Indeed. And like, I don't know. The sponsor stuff is just kind of something that we haven't really done yet. I
And
don't
it
know.
also backs us into a corner. Like if we start like reaching out and really wanting people to start sending us money, then it adjusts how we may word certain things. It may adjust how we talk. And like there's just a few different outcomes that may come from it. And like again, we feel that if somebody reaches out to us, we don't have to conform to what they want. You know what I mean? Like if they're reaching out, they know what we're putting out there. They're listening to what we're putting out there. And if they're not comfortable with attaching their name to us, then they wouldn't email us. And I think that's another portion of it for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've ran the gamut on every type of person and how the hosts have had different moods. So like, you know.
Yeah, you
I'll
never
tell
know
you
what
my
you're
same-
gonna get week to week. You're
Oh,
like,
100%.
maybe it'll be a good episode, like with well put
Yeah.
together guests and like awesome
Like this one.
technical
Like this one where
content.
you fucking had a phenomenal, absolutely beautiful story that
Great
people are just
story
gonna sit there and just
building, yes.
listen. Like, and then some of them is like 2 weeks ago where we just talked, and some people love those episodes, but a
Yeah.
company is gonna want consistency without a doubt. If they're gonna have their name, you don't
Our
think so?
consistency is that we come back every week. We're human. We're not
Yeah,
gonna be the
that's
same
true.
every week.
All right, we'll just give
Right.
them dead air. You're right. We'll just give them dead air, and then every 20 minutes
Once a
there'll be a
week.
30-second
We'll just give
ad
them a
reel.
raccoon episode, and that's the one that they get sponsored on, or they get their branding or their advertisement on, or whatever.
Listen,
I don't know
listen,
how
this
we
one's no. We
We
just
can probably get a possum though.
we absolutely could get a possum. There's no doubt. Oh, that could be a fun one. We could have Mommy Dan on and have her spit raccoon facts. Oh, dude,
Just call
she
her
is
Mommy Dan.
fuck. Oh my god. Okay, Anthony, listen, I am so sorry. Jesus Christ, I might actually. I don't even know about that one. That was
Nope. You said it. You're too sick to edit.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Jesus Christ.
This man's
we're
only running
not.
on Dayquil. Don't let him fool you.
Anyways, back to the suspension discussion because I like
have
that.
I have a question. You were speaking about having some axle wrap issues, but then I also heard from last week's episode that you stretched out the rear of your rig to like abominable lengths. Please tell me, please, that you have an anti-wrap bar now.
Yeah, I do. So I got
Okay.
the one from Barnes. Yeah. But yeah, so what do you guys know off the top of your head the wheelbase of a stock XJ? It's like 101
101.
something.
101.
So mine's at 113 now. So I got a foot out of it.
Damn. That's a good
yeah.
wheelbase.
Yeah, that's a really happy wheelbase.
Yeah, I'm hoping it makes a big difference. I think it will.
It will. It will.
I did the rough stuff mounts, and then I reversed the leaf springs, which is questionable. But I think with the anti-wrap bar, it'll be all right. And then I ran
Trial
the lines out.
by fire. Trial by fire.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be fine, but you
already
could,
have it done, so like
Yeah, fuck it.
I'm not gonna shit on you too much, but I've bent leaf springs with traction bar, having them not flipped, and I only hear bad things about flipping leaves and bending them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
your mileage may vary depending on the weight of your rig in the rear and how dumb
hard.
you are.
Yeah.
And you know, that answer is probably very dumb, but it is what it is.
I suck at driving, so I got to make up with it with throttle. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
well-
haven't even left the false confidence stage yet.
Well, it'll be fine until it's not. It's just leaf springs. You only have to do 4 brackets for them. That's the beauty of them.
yeah. Well, I
Worst
so-
case scenario, he could always do like if you absolutely hate it, I think you could just do the S10 main leaf, and that'll give you. I think it's 8, right?
The
I
S10
don't
main
know.
is 3.5.
3.5. Then if he has the
Yeah.
Flipping
flexible
is the
perches-
best way to get a lot of track. I mean, we saw that stretch, but it
Yeah.
comes at the cost of compromising the leaf spring a little bit because it's
Yep.
just not the right direction.
And then
Um,
the next options after that are Ford 54s are like an 8-inch stretch. Or not 8-inch. I think they're like 7.5 inches. Add in your perches and you're sitting around 8. So
You just know that off the top of your head?
He's autistic. Of course he
I'm
does.
autistic and I have been wheeling for the last, what is it, 2024? I got my driver's license in 2012 and I've owned Cherokee, or 2012. Wow.
2012. That's the
Yeah.
future, my dude.
You just
2012.
2012.
As I said, I'm autistic. So yeah, no, I've just been around it forever, and like when I first got into it, the forums were massive, and I'm like an information sponge, so I just kind of absorbed all of that information, and here
Now
we
he can
are.
Just, you know, it's outdated at this point, but he can still recite it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we
leaf
call it
springs are for
impressive.
poor people.
And
So-
they don't go out of style or change.
Well,
They're all
I-
the
there-
same.
The reason I did it was because I saw the Broughton Brandon put out a video of his just like a walk around on his rig.
Mhm.
And it's a soup. The way I did it's a super similar setup.
Okay.
And I figured
His
you know,
works, so
yeah, that's what I figured. So I was like, we'll see. And you know,
I didn't
bumped
realize
it,
he had
like-
flipped leaves though. Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. Well,
That's why his shit's so stretched out.
that makes sense.
So I limit strapped it and I bumped it properly, so like nothing's like overarching or like going into like a W. So
Mhm.
so we'll see if it lasts. If it doesn't, then that just gives me more of an excuse to link it, which it needs to
Yep.
happen anyways. So
I
Links
say
are
that,
cool.
but if you set up a leaf spring setup right and you're poor, you won't feel the immediate need. But
yeah,
yeah,
I will say that
at the rate, from what I hear, at the rate you've been working on shit, it'll probably be linked next year if I had to guess.
yeah.
Hey, Luke, I gotta take the 1-ton swap crown, dude. I did mine in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll give it to
Wait,
you.
well, hold on. Is it geared and trust?
No, it wasn't geared. It was truss, but it wasn't geared. And I think gearing's probably. I think I did gears in like a day and a half, but that was an absolute pain. in the
Yours
ass.
don't add a ton of like days, but it's a whole day if you're gonna do it usually, or if you
Yeah.
want to make sure it's like dead nuts on.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. On the front, I just so I did a spool on the front because it was cheap. Shimmed it, and then I just blasted the old pinion out of there, threw the new pinion in. Didn't change any of the bearings or the crush sleeve or anything, and just torqued her down. So we'll see how that does.
Okay. I don't have anything else to add other than that.
It's
I
a
mean,
science experiment.
mine
It always
has-
is.
I think mine has a crush sleeve eliminator in the front. I can't remember at this
That
point.
seems like it was the move. Yeah.
All I know is that I have beat those gears like they're redheaded stepchildren, and Jeremy Downs. I don't know,
Jordan's redhead. All right, you be nice about them redheads, okay?
That's
but is she a
Andy.
stepchild?
Yeah, I'm a
Is she a
stepchild
stepchild?
too. Yeah.
Oh,
Ah,
okay.
jeez, poor guy.
So then, perfect. But they're going on like 4 years of my foot, so I've got no complaints. Jeremy Downs did a fucking fantastic job on them. And I'm just welded in the rear with the Spartan up front with 538s, and that thing gets down.
Nice. Yeah, I just welded the back of this. Dude, the Sterling spools are so expensive. They're like $500.
Yeah.
They,
What?
yep, they
They're
used to
crazy.
be. Well, that's because they're new. They didn't used to be a thing. When I first started building one tons, they weren't a thing. They were like one-off custom machined for sled pulling rigs and shit like that, running like Dutchman shafts that were custom made, and it was all this big to do. You couldn't like just get a spool. It was a massive process and getting one custom built. Now they're more common, but they're still expensive.
Yeah, because I think a spool for the 14 bolts like $180, something like that.
Yeah,
So you think it's just a supply demand thing?
it's a supply demand thing, but also like if you want to go out and buy something, they kind of price themselves out of the market, I think, as far as spools for the Sterling goes, because for another $200, you can order a Yukon off of like one of the Detroit clones
Yeah.
from Amazon.
I'm pretty sure I
Yeah.
got my Detroit for like somewhere between $600 to $800. So yeah, I don't know why you'd go for an eight.
Aren't you supposed to steer clear of the spools anyways because you get a decent bit of deflection from them?
You can
Because they're not
account
as
for it.
supported. Yeah.
You can account for it. That's what I did in my 60.
Yeah, you just end up shoving the backlash.
And that's for like high
smaller.
performance stuff. My 4.0 probably isn't making that pinion deflect that much. But
Oh, shut the
here
fuck
we
up.
are.
You're putting 383 times 544 times 538 into it. It's deflecting a little bit, but not as much. I think I did the math out on it, and it ends up being similar to a modified class diesel pulling truck pulling in high range. It's absolutely insane the amount of mechanical advantage that we're putting into these axles.
You guys are saying
Thank God.
run like a tighter backlash with the spool?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, in general, for rock crawling, a tighter backlash is ideal because you're shock. A lot of what you're going to be doing,
Yeah.
especially with the way we drive, is you're shock loading the thing. You don't want to have the thing slamming into the teeth on the ring gear.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And vice versa. But for accounting for that deflection, you just pull the face of the pattern in towards. I'm gonna butcher it for the gear heads probably, but I think it's the oh geez, what side is that? There's toe and heel, but that's the
Yeah.
that's the actual face of the gear. You want it on like the facing the inner. What are the other two pieces? What are the? Oh my god, it's been a minute. I haven't done gears in a while. The inner, like if you're looking at the radius of the gear set, or yeah, radius, the inner side, you want it pulled in a little bit because when it deflects,
It'll crawl a bit.
It's gonna pull the pinion away from the pinion, or pull the ring gear away from the pinion, which will pull the pattern towards the center. So instead of it being in the center and pulling outwards, you're just centering it. So if anything, it's going to be a tiny bit stronger when it deflects.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry, I'm doing math right now.
If I butchered it,
okay.
leave a comment and review us 5 stars. And you probably don't even know my name, even though we say it at the beginning of almost every episode.
Okay, so not accounting for the differential split between the two axles, you are putting out approximately, factoring the 225 foot-pounds of torque, 25,221 foot-pounds at the output of the gear set if you were to go and direct that all into one axle. So, for example, too low. Now, if you multiply that across 2 axles, that ends up... I'm using Gram's 544 just for his rig in specific. You're putting 12,000...
205 eco box is what I have in mind to answer that question.
Yep.
Is that what how much of a difference did the Ego box, and then Luke, you're running a Ruby box? What are you running?
Yep. I'm
Do you
running a
guys?
Ruby box.
How much of a difference did this like the super? Because I just have like your typical 231 right now. Is it worth? Do you think it's worth putting money versus maybe doing like high steer
You
or
have an
hyper?
auto. I would
Yeah,
not put it at the top of my priorities list if I had an auto. Um, since I got my stickies, I like my 4-to-1 more. But without the stickies, I preferred the 231.
If you're gonna
just
spend all that money and you have a long rig, which you do, there's no downside to making the drivetrain a little bit longer. You have more options with a doubler of any kind in front of whatever transfer case of your choosing. So I would, if you're looking at doing one in the future,
Yeah.
I would, because all of Luke's complaints about it are because he doesn't have options, and we've talked about this before, and he might disagree with me, but I know exactly what he's talking about because I've had that issue with my low range, but then I just pop the 205 out of, or vice versa, one or the other. I could choose my high range, and then I'd have a higher, like mid-range, low gear
Yeah.
that I can still use that is exactly the same or slightly higher if I even want it to be than factory if I want to go a little faster or whatever, and still be in like a crawling mindset. Whereas Luke doesn't have that option. He has high range like 1-to-1 or 4-to-1, which isn't, you don't have the tools in the
Yeah.
toolbox to do what you want
If
to
you
do.
want
Like
if you want the wheel speed, then you gotta.
if you want to
Yeah.
be driving down the trail and banging limiter but not going 20 miles an hour, I've got a gear for that. Luke does, but it's
Just fifth.
screaming. It's not even rev limiter at that point. It's just perpetual
Motion. Most of the time, if I'm bombing around, I just slap it into high at this point and just use first, second, third. Like at Roush, for example, I'll just put it into high range. I fixed my linkage problems when I fixed my motor mounts, so I haven't had any more issues with it.
nice.
Yeah, so now for me to put it into high range isn't that big of a deal. And I don't mind the low range as much with stickies because I find myself using second gear and first gear a lot more than I used to when I had the Nittos before. So I don't know. I was neutral on the case before. Now I'm like more positive on it after the stickies.
Well, that's good to hear.
I still would put an Atlas in, but that's where me and Graham fundamentally disagree.
I have no problem with Atlases. I just could not, unless you're doing like a racing application, I just can't. Why bother? It's more expensive. You have to wait however long the wait time is, depending on the phase of the sun. And you can build a stronger case for less money.
I don't
You said
disagree.
you have a crawl box behind what, like a 231 on yours, Graham?
I have the NWF Eco box,
Yeah,
their
the Eco
older
box,
version.
yeah.
They make a newer one that's, in my opinion, a little better looking. It's a little more money than the old one was, but it's better. I think it's still an Eco box, so you're spending like, I think they bumped it. When I bought mine, it was I think $700 for the aluminum case. I took a 241 out of a Chevy truck that I got for free. Cut it up, put the planetary gear set in it. I pressed it in, and then you put it in. It's like you put the 241, 231 components in this aluminum housing, and then you have the doubler, and it's in a nice box. You can just do a 231 like crawl box kit where you chop it and do that, but there's downsides to that too. Because you have to run them upside down, which means you have to re-drill holes in your transmission, which is a whole mess. So
sketchy. Yeah.
It's not sketchy. Like it's not that. There's plenty of meat to re-drill, but it's just an extra step that, honestly, at least at the time when I bought mine, $700 was reasonable. I think they're like $1,000 to $1,100 now, which is kind of pricey. Maybe that's for the black box or whatever. Maybe they don't do the eco box. No, they definitely do. I don't know. Either way, the doubler's worth it. Get the some form of crawl box in front of it. I know behemoths like back in the game with boxes and whatnot, they're not like dead in the water anymore, or somebody bought them. And then a 205, you can't go wrong with a 205. They just don't blow up. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You like buy one from a old 70s Ford, and if you can find one, that's the biggest thing is finding them nowadays. But you can still find some pretty decent deals. You have to look, but reseal them if you care about it leaking and fill them up. That's all you got to do. No change in the spline counts because they already come with 32 spline outers. They don't get any stronger. You could put like chromoly shit or make it a 3-to-1, but like they're just dead simple.
Yeah, that's sick.
So
Yeah, I finally put an SYE in mine. Pretty excited about that.
There you go. First step.
yeah, I mean, honestly,
if you do want to keep the 231s alive, Cody has the case. He doesn't have it installed yet. It's actually in Marvell's Jeep.
But there's a reason, but it's fine.
I've got to finish putting his together. But you can put I think it's the Durango front output and chain and the inner gear. And you just get a wider chain.
Light duties.
241 light duties of any kind?
Yeah, like the 1500 parts work in there too.
Oh, no shit.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can just take the chains out of those. They're slightly wider, and you have less chain skipping issues, which you will inevitably run into on a 231 on a 1-ton rig that gets beat.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But don't worry about it till it happens. But when it happens, just do it. It's worth doing. You just, it's like $130 for like all the pieces, and you can just buy them off eBay.
What happens with the chain slipping? Like the fronts just don't rotate the same rate as the rears?
You'll hear it. It'll just be like, chuk, 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 and you won't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Or the front won't move anywhere. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so back to the price discussion here real quick. I just spec'd out an Atlas and I'm at $2,700, which for something that comes with shifters and bolts in.
That's not bad.
That's no doubler.
It comes with shifters?
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The doubler's like $1,500 on top of that, which it's not bad, but
yeah, there's no effort.
Yeah, I don't know.
My hot take on that is it's a 231. Stop caring about it. Run the fucking thing because they just don't. They're fine.
You can get another one. That's the thing.
Yeah, you can get another one. And you can put the heavier duty components in there, but that was never a problem for me. The only thing that happened with mine was I've blown up the cases before, but all the upgrades we're talking about don't fix the front output cracking, and they don't fix the planetary gear cracking.
No, so but that's where you just keep extra casings around.
Yeah, and that's
I don't
exactly
even have
my
one
point.
anymore, and I still have like 4 casings for the fucking things.
So when I had my setup, I just I took apart 2 cases. One of them, the one that was in my Jeep, had absolutely abysmal chain slap. The other case had been like rebuilt, but it was out of a ZJ, and it was just a different, I forget what it was. I think the main shaft was different or some stupid shit like that. So I decided to put everything together in the XJ case. And this is like going off of memory from 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, right when I did the 1-ton swap, I did that. And that case rode around for multiple years, multiple neutral drops, all stock components, just like the good stock components that I had laying around. And when it finally,
fittest, some Darwinism on your 231.
Yeah, and when it finally died,
the transfer cases.
Yeah, when it finally died, it died because the planetary gear actually cracked. Like the piece that gets pressed into the case cracked and split the housing at the 6 bolts. So like, I can't fault that case. You know what I mean? It gave up like after multiple years of abuse for something that I was into for a $250 slip yoke eliminator, and two, literally, like he was saying, they just appear in your shop after you've been in XJs long enough, 231s.
Yeah, you
So,
get them
like,
for free. You just have them. You buy the slip yoke once, and you have it forever. They don't go bad.
yeah, you blow the case up before you blow up a good slip yoke eliminator. So, like, you know, and then I just replaced it with another 231, and the only reason that 231 came out was Sam had this 241 OR out of his rig, and we made a fair deal on the price, and I was rebuilding the cross member and everything anyway, but, like, hindsight being 2020, I don't know if it really mattered that much making that modification then. It could have just stayed. Now that I have stickies, it's an improvement. But if I wasn't on the stickies, I would have just left it alone.
Yeah,
You can make cooler rev limiter noises
That's a good point.
faster
That's a
with
good
lower
point.
range.
Yeah.
I was not a rev limiter guy when I first started off-roading. I was just kind of like, just enough to make it go up. But now it just doesn't move unless you're on the rev limiter in any gear.
Yeah.
So
If I'm in third gear launching mine, if the funniest thing now is that with the stickies, they'll get hot and they'll actually slow the engine down, so I have to grab second, and it just sits on the limiter bouncing. If it's muddy though, it'll go in third, but otherwise when them tires decide that they've found traction, they just slow the motor down.
I put the Maxxis creepy crawlers on mine.
Mhm.
And that even like because I know those are kind of like a shitty sticky. Like they're almost not even a sticky.
Maxxis
from what I was
tires have
reading.
pretty decent
They're
compounds all
biased,
around. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming from IROX that Mike sold me.
Oh yeah,
So, like
you're gonna notice a difference.
Oh, there's a huge difference.
just
Hell yeah.
And I was like, these are game changers.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, IROX suck.
They have their purpose, but it is not gripping rocks.
Negative.
Yeah, I thought the creepies weren't stickies. They're a bias ply, right? Like they're
No,
not.
but it's the same
they're
compound
DOT
as all their
tire.
other DOT tires, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
I think they're better. They're actually really, really soft. We went with a guy not too long ago at Mile, and he was on a set of the creepy crawlers, and it was fucking impressive how soft those were. Like they almost gave the Razor, or not Razor vibes, the traps. Remember those 37s you had where you could literally touch the two lugs together?
Oh yeah, the stickies.
Very similar, like at least just again hand feel.
Those things were gummy.
Yeah.
So the technical definition on the creepy crawlers is that they are a not DOT rated bias ply. They're very close to a sticky, but they're not quite the same compound as a trap.
So it's more like a race
Yeah.
compound.
Yeah, I
But
yeah,
they
I
use
got
traps
him.
for racing, so I don't know.
There's a guy. He lives about 30 minutes from me. His name's Chris May from May Motorsports. He had a 4400 KOH rig, and that's what these came off of.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit! Hell yeah!
He'd actually be a sick guy to have on the podcast because he's like OG South Carolina, off-road guy. He's
check
If
him out.
you know him and he's interested,
yeah,
so
I'll reach out.
feel free to
Yeah,
introduce us.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him for y'all for sure.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
So,
For sure.
AOP man, what's your guys' big plan? Are you excited for this weekend? I heard it's just gonna be a boys' weekend. All the girlfriends are staying home or something like that.
Yeah, the meet and beat. Yeah, it's gonna be sick. I think that should be around the time that Mike's done with his rig.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, dude. They're making good. Have you guys seen the pictures that he posted of that thing yesterday?
Yeah,
it
he's
looks
making good headway
sick.
for sure.
Yeah, so I think that'll kind of be like Runs Prime version 2.
Yeah, that's
I'll
gonna
try
be
not to flip
exciting.
on flat ground.
No, please do. Now so we can at least
I'll at least
be
do
there, and then you can get a video.
Yeah, I'll at least do the full 360 flip this time.
There you go.
Not just a flop.
The thing that I love about watching the Runs Prime reels, every time I see your Jeep in one of them, it's ending up on its side at this point.
Dude, I'm so bad at driving it. It's not even funny.
Well, I have to like slip away during the meet and beat and just go and like run some of the normal trails there,
Yeah.
like Granny Templeton or George Winters, and like work on that. Because
Luke,
That's
did
the
you
thing,
just?
Steve.
Sorry, never mind. Never
What?
mind. Did you
He's
just hit the
offering
knock
me
thing?
lessons.
no, I didn't hit the knock thing.
Bro, okay, never mind. I'm just Graham, was that you?
No.
Bro, okay, sorry, never mind. We could keep going. Actually, play Luke. Do you have it so that
I
way it
do
don't
have
sound
it.
fucking crazy? Can you click it just so everybody like? I literally just
Yes.
heard exactly what he's about to play, and I don't know. There's nobody home, so like, play it.
He did.
Oh, hold on, I have it turned down. But yeah, so I don't know how it sounds for you guys, but
if you
for
have
us,
headphones on,
creepy.
it's creepy.
yes. Well, it's he has 3 different ones, and there's one that sounds like it's to the left and in front of you, and that's why I was like, Luke, really, bro? Like you just played that in the middle?
That
of
wasn't
this?
me.
Oh my god.
No,
Well,
he's
then
it's that Dayquil. He's on the Dayquil trip right
Fuck.
now.
I have realized though that if I wanted to, I could make a rev limiter clip and use that in the show. But you know, that would also be kind of obnoxious. So
No, let's
Yeah.
just open with the knocks. I think that'll be more fun.
Oh,
Just one on each
God.
side, then I'll start.
Well, now I have to look out my second floor window, make sure nobody's knocking. I'll be back.
yeah, I'm just excited for the meet and beat as well because that's the goal. Or the goal for that is my rig should be on full hydro then, so I shouldn't have the steering problems anymore. Logan's rig should be done, and I know that Logan's group is bringing like 5 people, or 5 rigs, I should say, a lot more people. And it's just going to be a much rowdier and bigger version of Good Evening Ranch.
Yeah, and we kind of all know each other now too. Like I feel like Good Evening Ranch was kind of when we all met, and then now like AOP, it'll be like boys back together.
Oh, it's
kind of
these
thing.
fucking idiots again.
Yeah, so that'll be sick. Yeah.
And the other part that I like about the meet and beat is you can just kind of go out and do whatever. And AOP is larger than Good Evening is, so hopefully with the amount of people that are showing up, it won't be a total like
Clusterfuck?
yeah. If you go out to like the further out trails, like there's some blacks on the far side of the property that are quite fun. We went down them on our night rides. I want to go back up them because they were just cool, and I managed to dent in and slightly bend my second B pillar on one of them, and I want to figure out where I did that.
Damn.
So they got a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna make one trip if I can before the meet and beat just to shake down that running problem I've been having. And that might end up being the first Windrock trip.
Yeah, dude. Hit us up because I think we're about 2.5 hours from Windrock. I think I'm gonna actually go there next weekend. I have a 4-day weekend coming up, so I might go out there and just run blue trails with my lady for 3
There
days.
you go, man. Hell yeah. That sounds like a good ass
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, for sure. So,
I
Luke,
think it'd be a
if you're-
nice.
I don't know if your
You're-
rig's up and running right now, but if you want to come out to Windrock and next weekend.
Just
You're gonna make me have to go and like. If I do that, it's gonna mean that Friday becomes an absolute clusterfuck for me. Because I'll have to go get a new fuel regulator. I have to get a hydro line made because I don't want to go out without a spare and whatnot. Because I sheared my hydro line. It appears to have gotten pinched between the ram and the track bar when I broke the bump stop. So it like squished it, and now whenever I try and turn that way, it just blows fluid out of it, and it's not great. So I'll get that all fixed up and let you know, but I don't know if this weekend's gonna happen.
Yeah, no worries either way. I plan on going like probably once a month. I love that place. So if the XJ holds together, there'll be opportunities.
But what I can say is, if you're gonna be out there, I will at the very least show up for dinner.
Nice.
Ooh,
Hell yeah, we'll
there
go to
you go.
Chili's. We'll go to fucking Chili's in
Yeah, hell yeah.
Knoxville.
So, like, if the rig's not ready to roll, I can definitely bring a couple of idiots out to Chili's if you want idiots, or I can bring
Nice.
my girlfriend and it can be like a civilized event.
There you go. Double date
That could be
action.
fun. Yeah, that sounds like that could be a fun time.
Have you spent much
'Cause-
time in Knoxville, League?
I live an hour from it, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool little city.
I like Knoxville. I like it more than Cleveland, if I'm being honest. Cleveland
I
is
bet
like
you
you
do.
just keep driving down there and you end up there, but we just ended up in Cleveland, and like I suppose that it's a good enough time as any to make that announcement. But Morgan ended up getting a scholarship, and she just started the finalization of it. So we're going to be here for the next 2 years while she finishes her degree.
Fuck yeah, congrats,
Nice.
Mogo. Hell yeah, good for her.
Yeah,
After
I'm
that, he's
fucking
moving to
proud of her.
Barbados.
After that, I have no clue where we're going to end up, but I think that where you might end up having to push it to 3 years because the school's requiring a year after she gets her master's, because it's a 100% free ride. So, like,
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah,
Is
it's
it-
fucking killer.
You're gonna call
Like
her
an
Sensei
assistant?
Morgan?
What was that, Jordan?
Is it like an assist? So my lady just got done with her master's, and she got like an assistantship where she had to like work like 20 hours a week, but then they kind of like comped the school. It's like how she
Oh,
is that the same kind of deal or not?
This is like Tennessee's having a teacher shortage, so they are trying to train people up, and it's basically like if you agree to work for the year after, they'll pay for you
Oh,
to
I
get
see, I
your
see.
master's, and you have to
Pretty sweet.
work at the school while you're there. So
cool. That makes sense. No, that's really cool. Hell
It's-
yeah.
yeah, she's going and getting her master's in special education, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, she can take care of you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because she works in special ed now as an assistant teacher, but the pay gap between a teacher and an assistant teacher is like 150% salary increase. So
Wow.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
yeah, I'm fucking amped for her, and that's gonna mean that we can actually like have a little bit more money flowing through. So hopefully the XJ will still be in one piece then, but that's when really cool shit will actually start to happen. Or we could end up lame and I buy a house and, you know.
Disappear for 5 years like Colin's about to do. Already has.
Colin already has, but
Yeah, that's
he might
fair.
show up again now that Josie's there with the gladiator. So, you know,
I don't
like,
know.
we just gotta
He's
bully
like
him.
frozen on that on his XJ. He doesn't know what to do. That's how I take it anyways.
I just
Yeah,
talked to him
that's
about that, and we were talking about he was talking about possibly building the TJ once he gets the truck where he
I know
wants
he's
it.
been talking about that, but he can't figure it out. He doesn't want to build the T. Or maybe he does. I don't know. I can't speak for the guy.
He can't make up his mind. So
No.
anyways,
It's just typical.
the lore here, if you will, Jordan, is that Master Bates, Colin Bates, had a XJ, and he was one of the people that like he stuck his neck out for me to get me into the club up north, and he's how I met Graham and like all of this shit. So he's a super cool dude. He just like bought a house, disappeared, and the
Yeah, he
last
was a
time we saw him
he was a catalyst for a lot of us for a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of years. And,
100%.
it's
He was-
sad to see
he was
some of it.
always-
It happens too often though.
Yeah, he was always the guy that was like, "Hey, we're going wheeling," and I was just like, "All right, let's do it." Like,
Yeah.
granted, Graham, Luke, and I, and Colin, we're all kind of that same way during that. Like, what was that, 2018, 2019 season? Like,
no, it was all the way through 2021.
yeah, and it was just
No,
like, "Hey,
2020.
where does everybody want to go? Let's go wheeling," and then we would just plan it, and especially with us being in the club, it made it really simple.
Plan
because
it. Yeah.
it was just we're
plan it.
showing up, and then it was like, "Fuck, are we drinking here? What's the plan?" Like, well, after wheeling, of course. By the way, just to appease the NEA on that statement there. But it was always such a fucking good time. It was always a mess. He would always spit a cap, and then Luke would just be like, "You spit a cap," and call me like, "No, it's fine." The next second, he's throwing a shaft out on the 44. Or
Well, the first time I
beating
met Luke, his
higher.
buggy didn't even run.
No, the first time you met me, I
Stopped in the
rolled it.
parking lot.
Yeah, second time I met you, like first time I actually talked to you, I guess. Like for real about.
Yeah, we had water
Anything.
in the fuel. That wasn't fun.
Wasn't Jacob there? I forget.
Jacob was there. We had like fuel pumps out. We replaced the fuel
we
pump.
were
changed
going
the crank
ham on that
position
thing, trying to figure it out. It was broken right at the start of the trails.
I literally
it couldn't
started
move.
it, got it off of the trailer, and it broke down there. So like that was not the best of looks. Yeah, that was a piece of shit. I don't even want to talk about that thing. We can talk about Barry though, because like that thing's been cool. It does the same thing, just different.
Maybe you have water in your fuel. Maybe that's the problem.
I don't think I have water in my fuel because there is barely any fuel in it, and I put in 4 gallons of ethanol-free fuel as a test to see if it was bad fuel, and
As a little treat.
as a little treat, yes. It's running fine, but like on the other hand, it was running fine when we showed up at AOP.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
So,
the weird
Luke,
little problem you got there.
with how much of a copycat my rig was to yours, and yours being Barry, how have we never thought that mine would have been coined the Blackberry?
I don't know, but that is true. Mine's
Yeah, like when I first met you, I'm almost I mean, granted, not now. I would say back when we first started, or we first were building it, they're almost the exact same rig. Like just like how much we really copied from yours, and like obviously like influence from Colin and Graham and whatnot. But it's funny that it just like hit me where it's like, yeah, we
just
could have had a
can't-
funny nickname there, but
I just can't get over the fact of how well your fucking rig works.
worked. We haven't wheeled it in a while. It might suck now. We don't know.
Why don't you wheel it anymore, Cody?
Money, I'm poor.
Damn it, it gets all of us.
Yes, sir. But that's everybody's excuse. So no, it just due time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick that you still come, like, because you're at like the Web Wheelers Ball. Like, even if you don't have a rig, it's still cool just to come and like hang out with the boys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's something that I
I
absolutely
had to
love.
drag this kid kicking and screaming, by the way.
That is the most stupid, uneducated, inbred statement ever. First off, you politely suggested
asked
and
you
offered.
to come many times, and until like 2 days before, you were like, "Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know."
It's because I wasn't planning to. So like I didn't set any money aside.
Exactly.
So then I was like, fuck, okay, well now I'm actually considering this. So I paid my bills, and then Friday at whatever 9 a.m. I was like, fuck it, I'm going.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, the ducks had to be
Kicking
in a row.
and screaming.
It was not. Okay. All right.
But he had a great time, and now he's gonna probably continue to come.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast.
Yeah, you can wheel my rig, Cody.
Hell
if,
yeah.
If you're very rigless. Yeah, you can show me how to run it.
I'm hoping that the rigless adventures slowly stops. Like I may have to miss a few trips to just like put the money in the right spot instead of spending on me just going on like pretty much a vacation and making that educated decision of doing that. But for now, we're definitely on track to making it so I no longer am rigless. Yeah.
What came of the Sawzall blade debacle? Did you guys come to a conclusion on that?
Actually, Graham switched up. Now he's on to DeWalt's. The whole Sawzall debacle is over.
We use the Diablos. I went to Lowe's. I don't usually go to Lowe's. I don't like Lowe's. I'm a Home Depot man. Well, Lowe's has these DeWalt blades that are carbide, and the only thing it says on it is 2 times life. And I was like, well, that's shitty compared to the 100 times life of a Diablo blade. But then I used them. I was like, these are actually pretty good. And I read the fine print, and it says 2 times longer than the Diablo blade. And I'm like, well, you should have made that in bold lettering. And,
you don't like the Milwaukee ones?
No, I fucking hate the Milwaukee ones. I haven't
Man.
tried a carbide Milwaukee one. I don't know if they
Carbide
make 'em.
Milwaukee ones, fuck.
I haven't
Those are the
tried
ones
one.
I use. Yeah,
I'll
I've always
have
liked
to see if I can find them, but
I
I
was
don't
not
know.
I was not a believer in them until we had a hardened CPM, which is like powdered metal, stupidly hard punch break off, and where it broke off, we couldn't disassemble the machine to like get the punch out without cutting it. So we used one of those, and it went through there. I'm not gonna say it went quick, but like that material is 65 Rockwell hardness, and it cut through it. It took like 30 minutes, but I was just blown away because normally that stuff will chew through an abrasive wheel. Like it'll just eat an angle grinding wheel alive, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
you're
know.
not wrong.
Ewalt and Milwaukee.
No,
Indeed.
Lennox.
No.
Linux.
Fire and
I like
Rescue
Linux
Lennox.
also.
They're I'm telling you, the Fire and Rescue Lennox it's W. It's a W. We just have to put it in Graham's hands first.
Well, you got to get me one. Yeah.
Oh, I'll get one. Don't you
I'll
worry.
com-
I
I'll compare it.
already talked to my
We'll
supplier.
go Project Farm on this shit. We'll get all the blades and see which one actually cuts. But
Time it out, have a specific amount of weights in certain points.
You probably get some views on that, to be honest. I'd watch it.
Oh,
Cody
honestly,
can use the Diablo in 4 beers and cut 2 chunks off of his Dana 60, but he cut 5 chunks with the Diablo or the
Science,
wall.
bitch.
honestly, that I bet you that would get views if you like had a fresh
Yeah, hell
05
yeah.
plus and like you literally just started chopping up certain like major sections and using different blades for it. Or even honestly, or the crazy part would be getting 5 different 05 pluses, 5 different dudes,
Whoa.
5 different Sawzall blades.
That sounds like
and
a
just-
sweatshop.
It sounds
Yeah.
like a shopkeep job.
Yeah, but I'm
Shop
telling you that you
shop.
put that shit up there, all the other doofuses who want to build an 05 plus, they'd be like, "Yo, we should watch this video. Like, why are you using DeWaltz? You didn't see the video? Obviously, the Milwaukee was better." Like,
I don't know. Maybe we'll buy 5 05 pluses and we'll cut them all up. And then
we can just sell them
Sell 'em.
afterwards. It'll be fine. Yeah.
that sounds like a lot of
Pre-stripped.
work for not
That
a lot of
sounds
gain, but
Fucking terrible. Sounds so
Dude,
bad.
I'd probably give somebody $1,000 just for like a front one that's already been like dehoused. Like I think I would probably double the value of that.
I would say somewhere in the range of 700 would be a fair price.
Yeah, 7.
you're only saying that because that's how I got mine. I bought mine and it needed a little bit of work.
I didn't even know
to
how
add
much you
them.
fucking paid for it.
I
What?
paid $750 for mine, cleaned and trussed and not geared, but everything else. And I got a bunch of pieces with it, so I got it away. It was a steal. Yeah, I didn't think it was a steal at the time, but because I'd cut plenty of 04s and 9904 axles, which are pretty easy to clean up. There's like a leaf spring perch and then the casting, a little bit of casting to cut off. But like after working on Sean's and Cody's, it sucks. It's just there's no quick way to do it. It just takes time and blades or discs or grinding wheels.
Well, alrighty, we're slowly coming up here on our 2-hour mark. Let's try to start wrapping this stuff up. Jordan, quick thing: where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so it's probably just Runs Prime. My main Instagram's private, but if I see that like people I know follow you, then like I'll follow you back. But yeah, probably just the Runs Prime page, Runs Prime Racing.
Hell yeah, always got to support. I like that. So quick question for you before the end of it. Do you have any small animal facts for us?
Can it be any animal or does it have to be small?
Give me any animal facts. You got something? Hit me with it.
I got a good one about black bears.
Ooh, okay.
So black bears, they hibernate. So they it's called an anal root. So they like they'll eat a bunch of grass, and then their biology makes them like a grass butt plug to keep ants from crawling in and eating them from the inside out.
What the fuck?
This is news to me.
Dude,
That
type
is
in
crazy.
black bear butt plug right now and tell me what happens.
I don't want to
sounds like
Google
a
that.
dangerous search.
Nope. I'll take your word for it. The theory tracks, and
Yeah.
we'll call it good on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any questions for
Ooh.
us?
I have another quick question though before we get into that.
Oh.
What is the best DOT tire and what is the worst DOT tire for off-roading?
Oh shit, talking to me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. Probably the worst DOT is probably the Pats. For Southeast wheeling, probably Patagonia's. The worst. Maybe IROX.
Oh yeah, I'd support that. I'd support that cause.
Both valid valid answers.
Yeah.
And then so they have to be DOT, the best DOT.
Yes. Yes. The best DOT for off-road use.
Probably.
Now you don't get a prize. It's just an opinion.
Oh,
That
that's
one
it.
ran on IROX and creepy crawlers, but maybe like a DOT.
What?
Grab.
I'm talking about all. I mean, you know, you were running around with the fucking pre-runners and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, that was all just like that was just the BFG all terrains on every single pre-runner.
Really?
That's
No
like
shit.
that's the
Okay.
go-to, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Weird.
Oh,
I hate those tires.
yeah, those are not a great
You know-
tire around here.
None of those dudes really worry about grip, like you know, because you're always spinning tires and sliding out. So if you
They're
have
just
some-
buying them for the clout. They're just buying KO 2s or 3s for the clout.
yeah,
The pre
maybe.
KR3s.
Damn.
That's funny.
Because those
But what,
things
like-
suck on the road.
Dude, they're
So-
sketchy on the road. Yeah, like
Yeah.
especially in the
Any
rain,
water
they're
on the
terrible.
road, and those things are like
Yup.
ice skates. It's the
In the rain, they're
stupidest
sketchy.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the Cooper AT3s. Those are my favorite on-road tire. I'll say that.
I've been
Oh, I
having
have so
very
many
good luck with the
opinions.
Falcon Wild Peaks.
Falcon
Yeah.
Wild Peaks are
All
top
those are
tier
good.
for sure.
The snow,
Um,
I can drive the truck around in two-wheel drive in the snow, and it barely breaks free.
Have you guys heard
Uh,
of the Kenda Clever?
Yep.
That's
never
a
heard
good
of
stuff.
those.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw, but I was towing with like a 4th gen 4Runner for a
Mhm.
while. And that had Kenda Clevers on it, and we'd like go wheeling in that thing and then like tow the XJL around, and those tires never gave a fuck, and they were always super solid. And that's like,
And aren't they massive in the mountain bike world?
Kenda? Yeah.
Yeah.
no, Maxxis is kind of like the top dog in mountain bikes. Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah,
recent,
so, like,
right?
It's similar to like rock crawling where you have like your DOT and then your sticky.
Mhm.
So like, indeed, mountain bike tires are so expensive. Like the creme de la creme Maxxis, like DHF sticky is like $120.
Yeah.
for a
Starting
mountain
they're like dirt bike tires at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Maxxis definitely runs the game on that for sure.
Interesting.
Alrighty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any
Uh,
questions for us? Oh, sorry.
No.
Go ahead, Cody.
No. I was gonna say it if you didn't. So
No,
you got
yeah,
no
no, it's
questions? Nothing. God.
I'll send Luke some tech questions on Instagram, but I think besides that, good to go.
The first
yeah.
time that happened, I was like, all right, this is familiar. And then I was like, oh, yep, okay, cool, makes sense. I had to go and see a picture of the rig to put the profile in perspective. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, sure.
And then I was like, oh, hell yeah, I know this guy. We were out at Keyhole at like 5 a.m.
I was pissing you off.
No, you were good. I was, to be honest with that, it was not anyone in particular, but there was some people that were yelling at me that couldn't form a sentence. And so I'm getting told to go up the wall on one side versus ping pong the Jeep off the other side. And I'm like,
yeah.
nope.
That is one of the worst things about rock crawling. Like when you have a group of guys and everybody's yelling directions at you, it's like I either want like one dude who knows what he's talking about or just nobody.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I get that.
like Timmy coming down was helpful because he got Graham and everything up, but it's like I know Timmy, so when Timmy tells me to do something, I'm gonna listen. Or if Graham is telling me to do something, Most of the time I'll listen because sometimes he shuts off a portion of his brain, but it's pretty rare.
You didn't want to
It does
listen to the
happen.
guy who just crashed his XJ on the same feature.
Yeah. So it wasn't anything to do with you or Runs Prime or anyone that was there. It was just way too many people were yelling at me and I could barely hear anything. But I remember someone, I don't know who it was, they were particularly drunk and slurring everything. And that was somehow the only voice that I could hear in there. And I'm like, yep, this is not the play here. All right, reverse is over here.
I respect that. I respect it.
I'll go blow my shit up. Like I blew my shit up at what was it? The bottom or the top of Cadillac. I blew it up in there, but that was just me being an idiot and like, hey, whatever, it comes with the territory.
Dude,
I'm not gonna
speaking
blow
of
my.
that, at AOP, so we were. I don't. That whole place is kind of a blur to me. No, not AOP. Good evening, but I was like stuck on this weird little ledge, and then it was just me and you. Like, so everybody
Yep.
had left, and I think gone to Cadillac, and you're like, "Hey, listen to see if something under my XJ's broken." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, he's probably just gonna kind of take it easy." And dude, next thing I know, you're banging the limiter, like bouncing the thing like 2 foot in the air, and I'm like, "How the fuck am I supposed to see if anything's broken? You're like airborne." I was like, "Who is this guy?"
That sounds about right. Yeah.
It was pretty sick. It was pretty sick.
We found the cause of the noise that I was hearing, by the way. The front drive shaft U joint was cracked in half.
That'll do it.
Every time.
So I was beating on it like that with the broken U joint in
Dude,
the
you were
front
wide
drive
open.
shaft.
I was like, "What the hell?"
Well, it didn't, like, no matter what I was doing, it would just make the noise. So I figured that if it's making the noise with me babying it or beating on it, on that obstacle that we were on, it was either going to break and, like, the back down's not bad. There's a green trail right there, and there's a 1-ton XJ in front of me, and I have a
That's a good point.
30-foot strap.
It's a very good point.
If it's gonna blow up, it'll blow up there.
She held together.
But on that note, anything else, or should we?
No, I just wanted to quick thing say, thank you for coming on, man. You did absolutely incredible.
That was fun, guys. Appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Sick. Yeah, I'll see y'all out there.
So, on that note, remember, you stand on the shoulders of giants that came before you. So, continue to improve the world around you.
Sick.